Chapter 86 Save Yourself the Trouble. Di Baiming said as he walked out. Yun Chuzhou was so angry that she glared at him. You saved yourself the trouble. She still had to find housekeeper Ji and An Men. An Feng and An Yin were dumbfounded when they saw Di Baiming's new look. Why did your excellency's hair become shorter after sleeping in Miss Zhou's room? What's going on? An Yin was fine, but An Feng felt like a cat was scratching his heart. He could not help but ask, Your Excellency, your hair. Di Baiming glanced at An Feng coldly. Cool. Do you have any objections? An Feng shrunk his neck and sneaked back to the Yun residence. He hid himself carefully. The black girl was already very vigilant, but now that Xiao Hanio was here, it was even more difficult to hide. It seemed that he had to stay further away from the courtyard. At this moment, Yun Chuzhou was jumping up and down and scolding Di Baiming, damn gigolo. You just left like that. You left me a lot of trouble. Xiao Hei. Burn the stray hairs on the ground. Yun Chuzhou pointed fiercely at the hair that Di Baiming had cut off. Xiao Hanio, why are Sha Xing's hair all burnt? Who did it? Xiao Hanio was shocked. Someone actually dared to touch the soil on his head. He was really tired of living. Yun Chuzhou straightened her small body. Of course I'm your master. Humph. Xiao Hei, I'm warning you, call me master from now on. If you call me little black girl again, I'll chop you into a roasted chicken. Xiao Hanio looked at Yun Chuzhou suspiciously, then, he hugged his wings and laughed. Io. Little black girl, don't tease me. You. If you have the ability, chop me. Besides, I love being struck by lightning the most. That thing is a great tonic for me. Yun Chuzhou then remembered that this little pervert in front of her was the same as her. Not only was he not afraid of being struck by lightning, but he also liked being struck by lightning. Yun Chuzhou rolled her eyes, as you wish. Anyway, you don't have to eat lunch. The little black bird rolled its eyes and immediately said in a flattering manner, Dear master, I was joking with you just now. In Xiao Hanio's heart, master, you are the most beautiful, and the most powerful. Yun Chuzhou pursed her lips and did not say anything. Xiao Hanio immediately continued, Dear master, I will now deal with the mess left behind by the gigolo. That gigolo looks like a sissy, bathing and changing in broad daylight, how disgusting. Yun Chuzhou's eyes lit up. Yes, listening to people, no, listening to birds scold the gigolo, it felt really good. So she looked at Xiao Hanio with encouragement. Xiao Hanio immediately understood, he pulled his neck and started to scold, Look at that gigolo's Eric. When the time comes, you will strike with lightning, and I will burn with fireballs, making that gigolo kneel at our feet and cry bitterly, regretting not having done it in the past. Yes. You are worthy of being taught. I will give you more food for lunch. Yun Chuzhou listened to the angry scolding of the Xiao Hanio. Her heart was extremely comfortable, and her face was smiling like a flower. Master, you are so great. Master, you are the best master in the world. I love you. Xiao Hanio did not even care about the face of a bird in order to eat. Just when the Xiao Hanio was about to burn Di Baiming's broken hair, Yun Chuzhou rolled her eyes and picked up a strand. She wrapped it up with the handkerchief that Di Baiming threw away last time and put it away. Master, what do you want the pretty boy's hair for? I'll keep it for now. Maybe one day I'll learn a curse spell or something. I'll curse the pretty boy to death. Xiao Hanio could not help but shiver. The black girl is indeed a black-hearted person. I must not offend her in the future. Yun Chuzhou spent a long time and finally cleaned up the house. Only then did she unlock Chun Ye's acupoints. The little girl was easy to fool. Yun Chuzhou managed to fool her with only a few half-truths. However, the door was gone again. How was she going to tell her grandfather? After lunch, Yun Chujio braced herself and went to look for Yun Xiaotian. Grandfather, my master came just now. He took 2 things from our house. Don't you feel sorry for him? You child. Not to mention 2 things, even 10 or 100 things should be taken. By the way, what did your master take? Well, it's nothing. He only took 2 doors. Yun Xiaotian. Chapter 87 The World's Oddities. Long grass in the Dantian. Yun Chujio came back from Yun Xiaoshan's place and picked up lunch while she was at it. She specially ordered a roast chicken for the little black bird. After lunch, Yun Chujio sat cross-legged on the bed. She suddenly remembered the abnormality in her Dantian, so she began to look inside. If anyone else could see Yun Chujio's Dantian, their eyeballs would definitely fall out of their sockets. Yun Chujio's Dantian was filled with small purple lightning bolts, and from time to time, there would be a few crackling sounds. Why was there a green bud in the middle of the purple? The bud seemed to have sensed Yun Chujio's gaze and even shook it proudly. Yun Chujio was simply angered to death. What the hell was this thing? Was there grass growing in her Dantian? Just as Yun Chujio was about to take a closer look, an intense dizziness came over, and she had no choice but to withdraw her spiritual sense. With a sad face, Yun Chujio called Xiao Hanio into the house. Xiao Hei, I'm 80% sure that I'm going to die. You're going to be free. Xiao Hanio's eyes lit up. Really? Yun Chujio grabbed Xiao Hanio's short wings. Good. You little heartless one, you can't wait for me to die, can you? Master, dear master, you've misunderstood. Misunderstood? I'm just very surprised. What's wrong with you? Xiao Hanio quickly changed to a worried tone. There's a grass growing in my Dantian. Yun Chujio released Xiao Hanio and said sadly. Ha ha ha. There's a grass growing in my Dantian. Master, are you talking nonsense? Xiao Hanio rolled on the ground with a smile. Yun Chujio was absolutely furious. You're such a good bird, but you actually learned to roll like a puppy. Are you trying to anger me? Get out. Yun Chujio kicked Xiao Hanio away. Woo-wah. Xiao Hanio flew onto the tree branch and cried out angrily. This black girl and pretty boy were both black-hearted people. It was simply infuriating. Yun Chujio sat on the bed dejectedly. The more she thought about it, the more afraid she became. Woo-woo, what should she do? The grass grew bigger and bigger. Would she end up as the worm of the Cordyceps sinensis? Yun Chujio cherished her life the most. She did not take Di Biming's words to heart, but the long grass in her Dantian was definitely not a good thing. Yun Chujio could not help but recall the memories of the original owner. Her adoptive mother had once told her that when she caught Joe, it was a seed. Fuck. Could it be this seed? Thinking of this, Yun Chujio scattered her seed and ran towards Yun Xiaoshan's study. Yun Chujio arrived at the study's door and blinked her eyes. After thinking of an excuse, she walked in. Little Joe. Didn't you say that you wanted to cultivate? Why are you here again? Yun Xiaotian asked in puzzlement. Grandfather, I had a dream when I was taking a nap. I dreamed that there was a grass growing in my Dantian. Don't you think it's strange? Ha! You child, dreams are always strange and bizarre. What's so strange about that? Are you here to tell grandfather that you had a dream? Yun Xiaotian patted Yun Chujio's little head and thought to himself that little Jio was really a child. Yes. Grandfather, my mother told me that when I grabbed Zhou, I grabbed a seed. What kind of seed was it? Yun Xiaotian thought for a moment. The thing that caught Zhou was prepared by your mother. It seemed to be a black, shiny seed. I've never seen it before. Oh right, you didn't let go of the seed after that. Your mother was afraid that you would swallow it, so she wanted to put it away, but she couldn't find it. However, everyone was staring at you at that time. They knew that you didn't swallow the seed, so they didn't mind. It was just a seed. If it was gone, it would be gone. Yun Chujio wanted to cry but had no tears. Grandfather, I didn't swallow the seed. It's growing in my dantian. I might as well swallow it. Chapter 88, They Must Still Be Alive. Xiaojiu, what happened to you? Yun Xiaotian couldn't help but worry when he saw Yun Chujia's sad face. Grandfather, it's nothing. I just miss mother a little. Oh right, grandfather, why have I never heard mother mention grandfather's house? Yun Chujio asked Yun Xiaotian curiously. Yun Xiaotian frowned slightly, he sighed. All right. You have grown up. It's not impossible for you to know some things. Your mother was brought back by your father when he went out for training. At that time, your mother was seriously injured and lost her memory after she recovered. Later on, she developed feelings for your father over time, so I made the decision to let the two of them get married. Then, has my mother never recovered her memory? Yun Chujio raised her eyebrows slightly. She did not expect that her mother's background was still somewhat complicated. She hasn't. However, I can see that your mother's background is quite high. Unfortunately, our Yun family is too weak, so we haven't been able to find any clues. Grandfather, how did my father and mother get into trouble? When Yun Zhongqing and Lin Biyun got into trouble, their original bodies were still young, so this part of their memories was very vague. That year, your father and your mother wanted to go to the place where they met to see if there were any clues about your mother's background. They didn't expect that there would be no news after they went there. I personally brought people to look for her, but they found nothing. Later, by chance, I found the jade pendant that your father always wore in a shop. It wasn't easy to find the cultivator who sold the jade pendant back then. That person said that when he found the jade pendant, it was covered in dried blood. There were also some broken strips of cloth on the branches, which were also stained with blood. At the beginning, I still had hope and kept sending people to inquire about it, but there was no news of them. Sigh, I can only accept the fact that they have passed away. Yun Xiaotian thought of his youngest son and could not help but cry. Grandfather, as the saying goes, if you live, you must see the person, if you die, you must see the corpse. My father and mother must still be alive. When I am powerful, I will definitely bring them back. When they come back, you will teach them a good lesson. Yun Chujio puffed her cheeks angrily. Yun Xiaotian was interrupted by her, and his sadness dissipated a little. Sigh, grandfather has already thought it through. As long as you and the Yun family are well, it's better than anything. Grandfather, don't worry. I will work hard to cultivate and revitalize our Yun family. Yun Chujio waved her small fists, and her eyes shone with determination. Yun Xiaotian was very pleased. The grandfather and grandson chatted for a while more before Yun Chujio hopped away. Yun Chujia's head drooped the moment she left Yun Xiaoshan's courtyard. Sigh. She was still trying to revitalize the Yun family. She might become the nourishment of that grass. This fellow was very worried. He had only eaten a tiny bit of dinner and had not slept for the entire night. How could he get rid of that damn grass? Using a knife? That was obviously impossible. The knife could not enter his dantian. Burn it with fire. Fuck. That abnormal grass was not even afraid of lightning. Why would it be afraid of fire? Freeze it to death. If it did not freeze to death, she would have to become an ice sculpture first. Drink some poison. Fuck, if that grass did not die, she would die first. Early the next morning, Yun Chujio washed up briefly and then sat on the chair in a daze. Chun Yu came back with breakfast. Yun Chujio smelled the fragrance and her stomach began to growl. This guy gritted his teeth, damn it. Whatever, he'll live one day at a time. I don't believe I can't handle a blade of grass. I'll talk after I'm full. Miss. Why are you turning white? Chun Yu exclaimed. Chapter 89 was just a drop in the bucket. Yun Chujio was pleasantly surprised and immediately ran in front of the mirror. Chun Yu, are you kidding me? Isn't it still so dark? It's like a charcoal ball. Yun Chujio was full of hope, but when she saw herself in the mirror, she was instantly discouraged. Miss, look carefully, it's really a little whiter. You were originally dark and dark, but now it's a little gray. Chun Yu explained anxiously. Yun Chujio. Dark and tanned. A little gray. Chun Yu, do you know that you won't have any friends if you speak like this? Yun Chujio looked at the mirror carefully. Needless to say, it really became a little whiter. Yun Chujio rolled her eyes. It didn't turn white for no reason. Could it be because the seed sprouted? So she became a little whiter. Then could it be that the reason why her original body could not cultivate was also because of the seed? Damn! It must be so. All the good things had been absorbed by the damn seed. That was why she was black and shriveled. Then how did it suddenly sprout? Was this change good or bad? The mysteries were one after another. It was really puzzling. While Yun Chujio was frowning and deep in thought, the little black bird flew to Yun Chujio's shoulder. Master, you smell so good. Smell so good. Nonsense, I didn't bring any sachet or anything. Chun Yu, do you smell anything? Chun Yu took a sniff honestly. Miss, there's only the smell of acacia, there's no special smell. Xiao Hanio panicked. It's true, master. There's a kind of. Well, anyway, it makes me feel very comfortable. Yun Chujio pursed her lips. She did not take Xiao Hanio's words to heart. Xiao He must be trying to please her. After breakfast, Yun Chujio sat in the courtyard in a daze. She had no idea what to do with Xiao Chao in her dantian right now. Perhaps she could find a way to enter the Linghua sect. Elder Sun said that the Spirit Flower sect had to go through a test to recruit laborers. It seemed that she could only work hard on the path of cultivation. Coincidentally, there was a heavy rain that night, and the entire night was filled with lightning and thunder. Yun Chujio, this fellow, held up 2 copper basins and filled the courtyard with lightning strikes. Xiao Hanio followed suit and stood on top of one of the copper basins, waiting to be struck with joy. Chun Yu's entire body was in a bad state. Oh God, it was fine if the young lady was abnormal, but why was the new bird also a weirdo? Yun Chujio and Xiao Hanio absorbed the power of thunder and lightning as they wished for the whole night. Both of them were extremely satisfied. Master, I need to digest the power of thunder and lightning that I absorbed, so I need to sleep for a period of time. You have to protect me well. Xiao Hanio said flatteringly after having a big meal. Yun Chujio nodded. I also need to refine the power of lightning that I absorbed. Yun Chujio greeted Yun Xiaotian and spent the next few days cultivating in her own courtyard. This guy really went all out this time in order to get rid of the grass in his dantian one day earlier. He almost forgot himself. Yun Xiaotian was naturally very happy to see Yun Chujio working so hard. He specially arranged for the big kitchen to send food over on time every day so that Chun Yu could always stay by Yun Chujio's side in case anything unexpected happened. At this moment, in the same city, Bai family, Bai Moru was begging Bai Peng bitterly. Grandfather, I really can't take this lying down. If it wasn't for that bitch Yun Chujio, Elder Su wouldn't have vented his anger on me and my brother, and I wouldn't have been kicked by Elder Su either. Now, we can't even go to the Drifting Clouds sect. Grandfather, you love me the most. You must help me kill that bitch Yun Chujio. Bai Moyu frowned. Moyu, that Yun Chujio's master is an elder of the Linghua sect. He seems to be quite famous. If we anger him, our Bai family will be finished. I don't care. Grandfather, you're the best. You must have a way, right? Bai Moru hugged Bai Peng's arm and acted coquettishly. Bai Peng smiled mysteriously. If it was before today, grandfather wouldn't have a way either. After all, the Linghua sect is a large and unattainable sect. But this morning, grandfather received a letter. Not only will you have the chance to personally kill Yun Chujio, you'll also be able to stand out and amaze everyone. Chapter 90, A Mysterious Letter. By Morris' eyes lit up. Grandfather, who sent you this letter? Bai Moyu also looked at Bai Peng with hope. He hated Yun Chujio to death now. If he wasn't afraid of that elder son, he would have brought people to kill Yun Chujio a long time ago. A good-for-nothing with no spiritual power, killing her was as easy as killing an ant. When I was young, I accidentally saved a person in the demonic beast forest. Speaking of which, it was also a coincidence. At that time, I saw a severely injured golden-spotted red flame tiger. In a moment of greed, I took the risk to kill that tiger. I didn't expect to find a person not far from that tiger. At that time, I was hesitating whether I should kill him to steal the treasure. That person woke up, so I could only pretend to save him. After that person recovered from his injuries in our house, he left a scabbard, saying that he would definitely give him a great reward in the future. So many years had passed, but there was still no news. I didn't expect that just yesterday, grandfather received a letter. That person was now an elder of the Linghua sect. Ha ha ha. The heavens are really helping me. Bai Moru exclaimed happily, ah. Grandfather. That's great. Do you want that person to help us kill Yun Chujio? No. That person had a bad temper and was stubborn. Otherwise, he wouldn't have thought that I was his savior. I will write a letter to that person. The two of you will bring the scabbard and letter to the Linghua faction. Bai Peng's eyes lit up. Bai Moru was puzzled. Grandfather, why are we going to the Linghua faction? Bai Moyu, on the other hand, understood a little. He asked tentatively, Grandfather, are you planning to let us enter the Linghua sect to cultivate? Bai Peng nodded. That's right. You guys go find that person first to obtain the qualifications for the entrance test. With your qualifications, it will definitely not be a problem for you guys to become servants. After entering the Linghua sect, with that person's connections, entering the outer sect is just around the corner. If the opportunity is right, it's not impossible to enter the inner sect. Bai Moru frowned. Grandfather, that Yun Chujio's master is an elder, then isn't she an inner sect disciple? Then when my brother and I enter the Linghua sect, not to mention killing her, it's more likely that we'll be killed by her. Mo. Don't forget, we have a huge backer in the Linghua sect. If Yun Chujio dares to touch us, she's simply asking for trouble. Bai Moyu was obviously much smarter than Bai Moru. Bai Peng nodded his head in gratification. That's right. Since that person thinks that grandfather is his savior, he must have taken good care of the two of you. However, that person is very straightforward. Especially Mo. You must listen to your brother. Bai Moru nodded her head. This was great. Linghua sect, A.H. Su Yenran was already so arrogant after entering the Drifting Cloud sect. This time, she was much stronger than her. If she could find another senior brother with a good family background, then it would be even more perfect. Oh right, grandfather, who exactly is that person? Bai Moyu was also very excited. He had thought that he would be trapped in Yi City, but he had not expected that things would actually take a turn for the better. He is the Linghua sect's West Peak Elder, Xiao Pancher. After you enter the Linghua sect, don't be in a hurry to kill Yun Chujio. First, you need to stabilize your footing before you take things slowly. Do you understand? Take a long-term view. Yun Chujio is just a small pebble on your path of growth. When you guys become stronger, you can take care of her at any time. Bai Moyu and Bai Moru both nodded. At this moment, both of them were in a state of excitement. They felt like they were in a dream. You guys go back and prepare. Well, set off in 3 days. Bai Peng was also quite excited. As long as Mou and Mo Ro entered the Spirit Flower sect, it was only a matter of time before our Bai family rose. Chapter 91. The house was struck by lightning 3 days later. Bai Moyu and Bai Moru happily set off for the Spirit Flower sect. The two of them left the city. Bai Moru looked in the direction of the Yun family and could not help but sneer, "Yun Chujio, sooner or later, I will personally kill you." Right at this moment, a purple heavenly lightning descended from the sky, heading in the direction of the Yun family. Ha ha ha. Brother, lightning actually struck on this sunny day. It seems that Yun Chujio has suffered retribution. Bai Moru laughed out loud in excitement. It might be an ordinary dry land mine. Let's go, don't miss the registration date. Bai Moyu looked coldly in the direction of the Yun family. Yun Chujio, if you were to be struck by lightning, it would be too easy for you. At this moment, the Yun family was already in an uproar. Yun Xiaotian heard the commotion and was about to come out to check when housekeeper Ji ran in panic. Master! Master! Not good! A purple heavenly lightning struck Miss Zhou's house. A servant saw it and said that the heavenly lightning was as thick as a child's wrist. Although Yun Xiaotian knew that Yun Chujio had a thunder spirit root, he was still very worried when he heard that the lightning was so thick. He quickly brought housekeeper Ji and rushed to Yun Chujio's courtyard. When they arrived outside Yun Chujio's courtyard, there were many servants surrounding her. Yun Xiaotian was very unhappy. These people did not rush in to save her, but instead, they were here to watch the show. This was too much. One of the servants said with a trembling voice, "Master, no, it's not that we don't want to go in to save her. We really can't save her." Yun Xiaotian frowned. Can't save her? This is an excuse. Yun Xiaoshan's words came to an abrupt end because he looked in the direction the servant pointed. What he saw stunned him. He saw that Yun Chujio's house had been split open by the heavenly lightning, and the surroundings of the house were full of purple lightning, crackling non-stop. Master, this girl Chun Yu is very clever. She was about to rush in just now, but she was knocked out by the lightning as soon as she got close. The servant pointed at the unconscious Chun Yu and said. Yun Xiaotian was so anxious that his forehead was full of sweat. Fortunately, he knew that Yun Chujio had a thunder spirit root. Perhaps this was her lucky chance, so he could only wait outside the courtyard. An hour later, the small lightning outside the room slowly dissipated. Yun Chujio yawned, stretched and walked out. Little Jiu, are you okay? Yun Xiaotian asked worriedly. I'm fine, I cannot be any better. It's this blind heavenly lightning that destroyed the house, causing me to not sleep well. Yun Chujio. Everyone was so shocked that their jaws almost fell off. Miss Jiu, you've made a mistake, okay? That was heavenly thunder. It was already good enough that you could save your life, but you actually still wanted to sleep. Yun Xiaotian received Yun Chujio's obscure little gaze and coughed dryly a few times. Alright, since there's nothing else, everyone should disperse. Little Jiu, come with me. Yun Chujio hopped into the study room with Yun Xiaotian. Yun Xiaotian closed the door and asked with a slightly trembling voice, Little Jiu, what's going on? Grandfather, ha ha ha, I've advanced. I'm now at the 3rd level of the spirit enhancement realm. Yun Chujio had a smug look on her face. Yun Xiaotian stretched out 3 trembling fingers. Third level. Yun Chujio nodded. Grandfather, have I broken through a little too little? If I hadn't been in a hurry to register at the Linghua sect and cultivate for a period of time before breaking through, I should have been able to reach the 4th level of the spirit enhancement realm. Yun Xiaotian couldn't help but burst into tears, and then he threw his head back and laughed heartily. Yun Chuzhou was dumbfounded. It was over. If she had known this would happen, she wouldn't have been so smug. This time, she had scared the crap out of her cheap grandfather. Chapter 92, Confidence. Yun Xiaotian wiped his tears with his sleeve. Little Jiu, you've really done well. Our Yun family is going to produce a peerless genius. Yun Chuzhou straightened her small body and pretended to be modest as she said, Grandfather, what genius? It's only half a month and you've already reached the 3rd level of the spirit refinement realm. Didn't you just advance 2 levels in a short time? This is really nothing. The corners of Yun Xiaoshan's eyes twitched. Little Jiu, are you being modest or are you showing off? Yun Chuzhou kept on showing off, only then did she say, Grandfather, I plan to leave for the Linghua sect tomorrow. In addition, I want to bring my brothers and sisters with me. When the time comes, I'll think of a way to let everyone participate in the entrance test with me. Yun Xiaotian was stunned at first, then he was ecstatic. Little Nine, is what you said true? Do you really have a way to make Chu Yi and the others participate in the test as well? Yun Xiaotian was simply ecstatic. Even if he were to enter the Linghua sect and become a handyman, it would be a leap to the heavens. The entrance test qualification of the Linghua sect was strictly restricted. A small family like the Yun family, which had neither influence nor connections, simply did not have the qualifications to participate in the test. Cough cough. Grandfather, I'm only saying that it's possible, and probable, so you shouldn't have too much hope. Yun Chuzhou had thought this through thoroughly. As the saying went, it was difficult to support a single person. No matter how powerful she was alone, she was still alone. It was inevitable that there would be times when she could not take care of them. However, if Yun Chu and the others became stronger, then naturally, no one in the Yun family would dare to bully them. Yun Chuzhou had always been very confident in herself. As for whether she would be qualified to take the test, that would depend on her improvisation. Good. Good. Even if we can't succeed, it's good to go out and broaden our horizons. I'll hold a family meeting right now to seek their opinions. Old G. Hurry up. Inform everyone to hold a family meeting. Those who don't come will bear the consequences. Yun Chuzhou looked at Yun Xiaotian as if he was on steroids and could not help but feel a little guilty. Grandfather, I was just saying that. Actually, I don't have any confidence at all. An hour later, all the members of the Yun family arrived at the hall. Everyone thought that something big had happened. Even Yun Chuer, who was fooling around outside, was found by Yun Xiaobo. Yun Chushan even thought that Yun Chuzhou had been struck to death by heavenly lightning. Seeing that everyone had arrived, Yun Xiaotian could. Tomorrow, little Jiu will rush to the Linghua sect to undergo the entrance test. Hearing this, everyone immediately exploded. Linghua sect? Heavens! No wonder Elder Su was scared away by little Jiu's master. Little Jiu's master must be very powerful. I knew it. Little Jiu's skills are much more agile than before. It turns out that she has the guidance of an expert. That's right. No wonder she was able to subdue Bai Moru in one move. Little Jiu really has a deep cover. Yun Chushan's hands were clenched tightly under her sleeves. She didn't even notice that her nails had pierced into her flesh. What right did she have? How could a good-for-nothing like Yun Chuzhou have such a good life? She was obviously a bastard, yet she enjoyed the treatment of the eldest daughter of the patriarch's mansion. She was clearly a good-for-nothing, yet she was taken in as a disciple by an expert. Now, she actually obtained the right to take the test of the Linghua faction. It was really too unfair. Yun Chushan became even more irritated when she heard everyone's compliments. She said softly, Little Jiu, although it's a good thing that you got the chance to go to the Linghua faction to take the test, but But you don't have the slightest bit of spiritual power. How can you pass the test? Yun Xiaotian was about to say that little Jiao could cultivate, but Yun Chujiao gave him a look. Then, she said with a bitter face, "Third sister, what you said makes sense. What do you think we should do?" Chapter 93. Fooling little Lotus. Yun Chushan's eyes flashed. It wasn't easy to obtain the test qualification of the Linghua faction, so naturally, we can't waste it. Why don't we let someone with ability take the test for you? Someone with ability? Then who can do it? Can Big Brother go? Yun Chujiao tugged at the corner of her clothes and said awkwardly. Yun Chi hurriedly waved his hand. Little Jiao, this is your opportunity. How can you let me go? Yun Chushan quickly said, Little Jiao, Big Brother can't do it. You're a girl. The one who should be replacing you should be a girl. Yun Chujiao clapped her hands. Third sister, you're really too smart. Then let third sister you. Although Yun Chushan tried her best to hide it, she still couldn't hide her joy. Just as she was about to pretend to decline a few words, she didn't expect Yun Chujiao to continue, No, third sister, you're too old. Let fifth sister go instead of me. Yun Chushan almost fainted from anger. Did you do it on purpose? Also, who are you calling old? She's only 17 years old, all right. Yun Chou was only 1 year younger than her. Yun Chou was just about to decline when Yun Chuki poked her. Yun Chou was stunned and didn't say anything. Ever since the incident in the Beast Forest, Yun Chuki and Yun Chushan had completely distanced themselves from each other. Instead, they became closer to Yun Chou. Yun Chujiao looked at Yun Chuki with admiration. Aya, this seventh sister was quite smart. Grandfather, it's settled then. Fifth sister will go in my place. I won't go. We're sisters anyway. It's the same no matter who goes. Yun Chujiao said to Yun Xiaotian with a smile. Yun Xiaotian was also an old fox. He immediately understood Yun Chujia's intentions. His heart moved. This was also good. It was just the right time to test everyone's thoughts. Alright, if that's the case, then let Chu go. The others did not have any objections. Only Yun Xiaobo was anxious. Big brother. This isn't fair. Why should Chu go on behalf of Yun Chujiao? If she wants to go, she has to be orderly. It should be Chu Shan who goes. Grandfather, don't say any more. Chu and little Jiao are cousins. There are differences in intimacy. How can I compare with Chu? Yun Chushan was aggrieved like a little white lotus. When Yun Xiaobo heard this, he was indeed anxious. Humph. Family head, our Yun family is one. How can you convince the masses by treating us differently? Yun Chujia's eyes narrowed slightly. This second elder was also brainless. It seemed that this fake white lotus was the one who ruined everything. It was a good opportunity to take her away so that she wouldn't get involved at home. Yun Xiaotian couldn't help but smile bitterly. There's a differ. Take this incident as an example. The token was originally little Jiao's. I will give it to whoever little Jiao says. But little Jiao has always been thinking about her brothers and sisters at home. She took the initiative to say that she wanted to bring her brothers and sisters to participate in the test. I did not expect that before I had the time to say it, you and Chu Shan would do something like this. It really disappointed me to the extreme. Yun Xiaobo was choked to the point of being speechless. His old face turned red as he said embarrassedly, Big brother, I was just being impatient. Little Jiao, yes, little Jiao is indeed a good child. The corner of Yun Chujia's eyes twitched. This second elder was really thick-skinned. No wonder he didn't receive any punishment even after being a demon for so many times. Second elder, elders, brothers and sisters, don't praise me yet. Actually, grandfather's words are not entirely correct. Normally, the token in my hand can only allow me to participate in the test alone. The reason why I brought everyone here is because I'm hoping to get lucky. I want to see if there's a chance when the time comes. Actually, the chances of success are not very high. Yun Chujio was not stupid. Let's put the ugly words first, so that we won't have to complain later. Little Joe, it's good enough that we can go and see the big scene. Don't worry, sixth brother won't blame you if it succeeds or not. That's right. We all have eyes, unlike some people who don't recognize the kindness of others. Yun Chuki was as venomous as ever. Yun Chushin's face flushed red, and she even hated Yun Chuki in her heart. Chapter 94, Write a letter to the gigolo. Everyone in the Yun family liked Yun Chujio 100 times now. They had long forgotten Yun Chujio's previous dark history and praised Yun Chujio like a flower. Yun Chi had voluntarily stayed behind. Firstly, his talent was limited. Secondly, he was a little old. Thirdly, the family could not afford to not have young people to take care of things. Yun Chuer would not go either. How great would it be in Chi City? There would be food and drinks. Who would go to the Linghua sect? Moreover, even if he went, he would not be chosen. It would be a waste of his suffering. Because Yun Chusher was too young, he could not go together. He pouted and even secretly cried a few times. It was only until Yun Chujio promised several unequal treaties that he broke into a smile. Finally, the candidates were decided. Yun Chushan was 17 years old, Yun Chuzi was 17 years old, Yun Chu was 16 years old, Yun Chu was 16 years old, Yun Chulu was 16 years old, Yun Chuki was 15 years old, Yun Chuba was 15 years old, and Yun Chuki was 15 years old, second level of spirit enhancement. Yun Chujio counted with her fingers. Including herself, there were 7 people. Was this the rhythm of gathering 7 Dragon Balls and summoning the Divine Dragon? Yun Chujio put her hands behind her back and said seriously, although you are brothers and sisters, I have the final say in everything when we go out this time. If you are not convinced, then don't go. Also, among the 7 of us, I am the youngest and the most useless. So you have to take care of me and protect me on the way. Don't complain, be my slave. The members of the Yun family. Could they take back what they had said about this guy? This guy was just a glutton who liked to eat and be lazy. He had to be a good-for-nothing. After the discussion was settled, Yun Xiaotian announced the end of the meeting. He asked the few of them to go home and prepare their luggage, and he left Yun Chujio alone. Little Jiu, keep these silver ingots and gold bars. You must be careful on the way. Yun Xiaotian handed Yun Chujio a heavy package. Since the Linghua sect was not in Donghua Nation's territory, the silver notes could not be used. She could only bring more gold and silver on the road. Yun Chujio did not decline. She took the package and chatted with Yun Xiaotian for a while before returning to her courtyard. Housekeeper Ji had already arranged for someone to repair the big hole in the roof. Chunyu had long woken up and was cleaning the house. Chunyu, bring me the silver note box. Chunyu did not understand what he meant. She quickly entered the house and handed the silver note box to Yun Chujio. Chunyu, I'm going to the Ling. If you're willing to stay in the Yun family, then stay in the Yun family. If you're not willing, then take some silver notes to redeem yourself. Yun Chujio took out 10,000 taels of silver notes and handed them to Chunyu. She put the rest into her pocket. Chunyu was shocked. At first, she was reluctant to part with them, but then she was moved to tears. Miss, I only sold myself for 50 taels of silver. You gave me too much. Besides, I don't have any relatives anymore. They'll stay in the Yun family and guard this courtyard, waiting for you to come back. Yun Chujio was amused. Silly girl, your family's miss, I will definitely enter the Linghua sect this time. When that time comes, I might only be able to come back once every few years. Besides, are you not going to marry? Chun Yu blushed. Miss, I'm not leaving the Yun family anyway. All right. You can find a good guy in our Yun family to marry. This money can be used as your dowry. Yun Chujio might be greedy, but she was quite generous to her own people. Chun Ye's face naturally turned red from embarrassment. She gave an excuse to pack Yun Chujio's luggage and ran away. Yun Chujio pouted. Aya, this Chun Yu is really thin-skinned. If I wasn't thick-skinned enough, I would have been slapped to death by the gigolo. By the way, after I leave, I don't know if the gigolo will be angry. I'd better leave a letter for him. Chapter 95. The first letter Xiaojio wrote to the Supreme Emperor Yun Chujio sighed. If it weren't for the fact that she was afraid that the gigolo would vent his anger on the Yun family, she wouldn't have written him such a troublesome letter. She wished that she could sneak away. It seemed like she had to find an opportunity to make the gigolo promise that he wouldn't touch the Yun family. Yun Chujio took out her brush and wrote a letter to Di Biming in one go. Dear Prince Charming, your words are like a book. Although my longing for you is like a torrential river that never stops, in order to improve myself and be more compatible with you, I have decided to go to the Linghua sect to further my studies. I know that you will definitely be angry. After all, with such an outstanding and powerful master like you, why would I need to go to the Linghua sect? However, I did this for a reason. Firstly, you were busy with your affairs and couldn't give me pointers for a very long time. You also said that it was very easy for the Thunder Spirit root to go berserk. Therefore, for the sake of my little life, I could only go to the Linghua sect to try my luck. Secondly, it was said that not only did the Linghua sect teach techniques, but they also taught courses such as talisman making, pill refining, beret formation, and weapon refining. In order to love you better in the future, I decided to become multi-talented. Only then could I defeat those coquettish bitches by your side, repel the vixens who seduced you. Thirdly, the world is so big. I want to go out and take a look. Dear Prince Charming, the messages are long and affectionate. My deep love for you is not described here. If you miss me, you can go to the Linghua sect to see me. Little Jiu who loves you to the bone years months days. After Yun Chujio finished writing, she admired it a few times in satisfaction. TSK, my literary talent is simply too great. And this word, it's simply too cool and elegant. The gigolo will definitely be shocked when he sees it. Yun Chujio sealed the letter in the envelope, and then wrote on it, personally opened by the Prince Charming. She placed the envelope on the table and pressed it with a ruler. Chun Yu, in half a month's time, my master might come looking for me. Give this letter to my master. My master has a bad temper, so you must remember to give this letter to him. Otherwise, he will tear down our Yun family. Chun Yu nodded repeatedly. Seeing the words on it, she asked suspiciously, Miss, why did you write the words personal revelation of a male god? Shouldn't you write the words personal revelation of a benefactor? Yun Chujio coughed dryly, my master is a male, right? So there's no problem with the word male. My master is quite powerful, so it's not a problem to call him a god, right? Together, they are a male god. Chun Yu nodded blankly. Although what Miss said was right, why did she feel that something was not right? After saying that, Yun Chujio slipped back into the bedroom and looked at the dead Xiao Hanio with worry. Xiao Hanio had been in hibernation all this time, so she definitely had to bring it along. The problem was how to bring it along. Put it in a package. Don't suffocate it to death again. In the end, Yun Chujio asked Chun Yu to make a cloth bag that could be carried diagonally. There were a few air holes on it, and the inside was covered with soft cotton. Then, she placed Xiao Hanio inside. The next morning, when everyone gathered, Yun Chujio's strange style once again refreshed everyone's understanding. Yun Chujio was carrying a huge bag behind her, and in front of her was a colorful small bag with 2 large copper basins in her hands. The corner of Yun Xiaoshan's eyes twitched. Xiao Jiu, what's in your bag? And why are you carrying 2 copper basins? Grandfather, we're going out, so we naturally have to be more prepared. I have all sorts of treasures in here, such as salt, pepper noodles, sugar, and so on. These 2 copper basins are naturally for cooking. Actually, Yun Chujio was killing 2 birds with 1 stone by bringing these 2 copper basins. They could be used to cook food in the wild, and they could also absorb lightning. Yun Xiaotian gagged and wanted to say something, but swallowed it back. Little Jiu, are you going to take the entrance test, or are you going to go sightseeing? Forget it. If he couldn't pass the test, he would be more at ease with little Jiu by his side. Chapter 96 The little wild horse that got loose. Under the instructions of the Yun family members, Yun Chujio and the others mounted their horses and set off valiantly and proudly. Anfeng, who was in the corner, was about to go crazy from anxiety as he watched everyone's back view. Why did this 9th miss suddenly have a stroke and want to go to the Linghua sect? There was no warning at all. But this damn voice transmission talisman actually broke. It really killed him. Why did everything go wrong when he met this black girl? If, after half a month, the Honorable Sir came and found that the 9th miss was gone, oh God, the consequences would be unimaginable. What should he do? Anfeng struggled for a while and hurriedly left a message under the roof tile. He also left a secret mark before secretly following Yun Chujio and the others. After all, his mission was to protect Miss Jiu. As for His Majesty, he could only hope that this ancestor would not destroy Yi City in a fit of anger. Yun Chujio did not know about Anfeng's worries. This fellow was so happy now. First, he bought a large pile of pastries at the pastry shop, then he bought a large pile of cooked food at the delicatessen shop, and finally, he went to the grocery store to get a large bag of candied fruits. Yun Chushan couldn't help but twitch her lips. She wanted to say something sarcastic, but unfortunately, Yun Chu and Yun Chuki ignored her now. She could only curse in her heart. Foodie. Good for nothing. Useless. Yun Chujio bought good food and went to the pharmacy to buy some medicinal herbs for daily use. Then, she waved her hand and said, "Go out of the city." Once out of the city, Yun Chujio was like a wild horse that had gone out of control. She didn't know how to show off. Picking wild flowers by the roadside. Picking wild fruits by the roadside. Looking at the handsome men by the roadside. Unfortunately, when the passers-by saw Yun Chujio's dark face and the gorgeous small bag, they all looked like they had seen a yiksha. None of them went up to her. Yun Chujio grumbled unhappily, Xiao Hei, just because of you, master, I have missed so many beauties. When you wake up, I will definitely teach you a lesson. Forget it, these people with no taste really have no taste. They're not even as good-looking as a gigolo. Who cares? Humph. Yun Chu, who was beside her, frowned. Xiao Jiu, what are you mumbling about? Why do I hear something about beauties and gigolo? Are you going to go back to your old habits? Yun Chujio blinked her eyes. Fifth sister, did you hear wrongly? I'm talking about Mei Jing and the little white rabbit. I'm a little hungry and I'm thinking of killing a few wild rabbits to satisfy my hunger. Yun Chu looked at her suspiciously and warned, Little Jiu, although we will listen to you this time, if you do anything out of line, as your sister, I will not forgive you. Yun Chujio shrunk her neck. Fifth sister, don't worry. I promise to be obedient. Although Yun Chujio said it well, everything looked fresh and fresh. She would not be able to travel much in a day. Moreover, she had quite a lot of banknotes with her. She would definitely be able to stay in a high-class room in a big inn, and every meal would definitely be a sumptuous feast. It was also the first time Yunchu and the others went on a long journey. Moreover, they were all young, the age that they loved to play, so they let Yunchujio do whatever she wanted. The Linghua sect was not particularly far from Yi City. If they rode on a flying spirit tool, it would only take one day, but Yunchujio and the others would need at least half a month to arrive by horse. After leaving the Donghua nation's borders, Yunchujia's spending was obviously much more restrained. This was because silver notes were not commonly used in other countries, and could only be spent in gold and silver. The closer the town was to the Linghua sect, the more different it seemed from Yi City. In these places, the spiritual qi was obviously thicker than in Yi City. The people's cultivation levels were also not bad. The Yun siblings were already outstanding in Yi City. In this place, they became quite ordinary. Yun Chujio and the others were now facing a very serious problem. They were going to go hungry. Chapter 97. As they got closer to the Spirit Flower sect, the value of gold and silver began to depreciate greatly. People began to use spirit pearls and spirit stones to trade. One spirit pearl could be exchanged for 10 taels of gold, and one spirit pearl could only buy 2 meat buns. Even though everyone's food had been reduced from delicacies to steamed buns and boiled water, the gold and silver in their bags were still decreasing rapidly. Yun Chujio and the others had also thought of buying some demon beasts to exchange for money or to eat them. However, this place was almost 2 days away from the nearest demon beast forest, and traveling back and forth was really too time-consuming. In the end, it was still Yun Chujio's idea to sell 2 of their horses and exchange them for 3,000 spirit pearls. Finally, the problem of eating was temporarily solved. Yun Chujio estimated the distance. She could still reach the Linghua sect by living frugally, but the quality of life was obviously declining. Needless to say, the food was simple, and the accommodation was often only 2 rooms. Everyone squeezed in. On this day, Yun Chujio and the others finally arrived at the Linghua city at the foot of the Linghua faction mountain. The Linghua city was filled with people. Other than the people who came to participate in the test, there were also many relatives and friends who accompanied the test. All the inns and restaurants in Linghua city were full, and the prices were shockingly high. Yun Chujio and the others found a simple and crude inn with great difficulty. They rented 2 rooms and temporarily settled down. Although they were short of money, everyone was still very excited. The things they saw along the way would probably never have been dreamed of in Yi City. Coming out this time had really broadened their horizons. The next day, Yun Chujio suggested that everyone go to the place where the Linghua sect registered. First, they wanted to see the registration process, and second, they wanted to find out the truth. The place where the Linghua sect had registered was at the foot of the Linghua sect's mountain, and it was very close to Linghua city. Yun Chujio and the others did not ride horses, and they strolled to the place where they had registered. Along the way, the Yun family members received several disdainful gazes. "Tsk, look at those people. They look like country bumpkins who haven't seen the world." "That's right. They're actually wearing ordinary clothes, and they don't even have a spirit tool. They're really poor. They're not young anymore. Look at their cultivation. How dare they come here? Even if they could register, they wouldn't be able to get in. Forget it. Forget about taking the entrance exam. Their cultivation doesn't even meet the registration criteria. That black girl doesn't even have any spirit. If I were them, they wouldn't even have the face to come here. And that black girl. It's one thing if she's a piece of trash, but she's actually carrying a weird bag. Could it be that there's a steamed bun in it? Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha, with their poverty, they definitely can't afford a storage bag. Naturally, they have to carry a bag. My servants are even richer than them." Yun Chu and the others heard the crowd's discussion and looked at the others' attire and cultivation. They couldn't help but feel inferior, and they couldn't even walk naturally. Yun Chujio frowned, and her small face became stern. She glanced at the Yun family members unhappily. Brothers and sisters, this cultivation itself is against the heaven. It is meant to constantly surpass oneself and overcome all kinds of difficulties. Why, have a few words of gossip affected your minds? We cannot decide our own origins, but we can work harder and better than others. Although the people of our Yun family aren't rich, we must have faith. All of you, stand up straight and hold your heads high. Yun Chua's words seemed to have hit Yun Chu and the others in the head. Everyone looked ashamed. We're not even as good as Little Jiu. Little Jiu can stand up straight even without spiritual power, so why can't we? Yun Chu and the others immediately changed from their previous timidity to calm and confident. The siblings of the Yun family were already very outstanding in appearance, but now that their imposing manner was put together, they actually didn't look any worse than the others. They even had an extra bit of pride. Yun Chujio secretly gave herself 32 likes. I gave myself 99 points, one more point to be afraid of my own pride. Chapter 98 Io, you can do this? When those gossipers saw this, they embarrassedly said a few sarcastic words and did not say anything more. Yun Chujio relied on her small stature and continuously squeezed forward. Finally, she squeezed to the front and saw a few people wearing the Linghua sect's clothing sitting behind a long table. There were two types of people who registered. One was to directly take out the registration token, the other was to conduct a test on the spot. However, the requirements for the test were very harsh. Yun Chujio glanced at it. 17 and 16 years old required a spirit enhancement of the 6th level, 15 and 14 years old required a spirit enhancement of the 5th level. Yun Chujio frowned. Not a single member of the Yun family had met the requirements. If they followed the procedure, they definitely wouldn't have a chance. She could use the token given by Elder Sun to sign up herself, but what about Yun Chu and the others? She couldn't have come all the way here for nothing, right? Yun Chujio exited the crowd and told them what she had seen. Although Yun Chu and the others were mentally prepared, they couldn't help but feel a little disappointed. Yun Chu Shan glared at Yun Chujio hatefully. She thought to herself that she was really taking advantage of the situation. She should have given her token to Yun Chujio. Although the Yun family members couldn't hide their disappointment, since they were already here, they should just watch the show. After all, such an opportunity was very rare. Yun Chujio's little head was spinning rapidly. How could she get Yun Chu and the others to sign up as well? To look for Elder Sun? It was obviously impossible. Not just anyone could enter the Linghua sect. Moreover, Elder Sun's status was extremely high. Even if she could use some small means to meet Elder Sun, it would still take a long time. By then, it would be too late. Why not beat up the person who signed up and force him to sign up? Cough cough, let's not talk about whether he could beat them up or not. Smashing the Spirit Flower sect's territory was courting death. Bribe them? Not to mention, she was so poor that she was selling horses. How could she have any spirit pearls or spirit stones to bribe them? Just as Yun Chujio was frowning in confusion, there was a small commotion in front of her. You only have one registration token in your hand, so you can only sign up alone. As for you, I'm sorry, you don't qualify to sign up. Please go back. Senior brother, Elder Shao only has one registration token left. We're siblings, so please make an exception. Yun Chujio was stunned. This voice? Wasn't this the voice of the white trash? Yun Chujio squeezed to the front and took a look. It really was Bai Moyu and Bai Moru. The disciple in charge of the registration looked at Bai Moyu and Bai Moru. Elder Shao. Which Elder Shao? Shao Pancher from the West Peak, Elder Shao. Bai Moyu and Bai Moru had already met Elder Shao a few days ago. Elder Shao had originally given them 2 registration tokens, but coincidentally, when Baimoru was shopping, he actually let someone take them away. The Bai siblings were afraid that Elder Shao would blame them, so they didn't dare to ask for another token. They were prepared to fool around first. If they went over, they didn't need to look for Elder Shao anymore. When the disciple in charge of registration saw that there was indeed the word Shao on the back of the registration token, he was a little hesitant. This disciple happened to be a disciple of West Peak. Elder Shao was the hall master of West Peak's law enforcement hall, and he was a famous black-faced fiend. It was better not to provoke him. After all, he was only qualified to register, and even if he registered, he might not be able to pass the test. He might as well do him a favor. All right. All right. Go over there and get the test jade token. The disciple waved his hand, indicating that Baimoyu and Baimoru had passed. When Yun Chujio saw this, her eyes immediately lit up. Io, you can do this? Yun Chujio hopped in front of the disciple and handed over the registration token that Elder Sun had given her. Chapter 99, Fengming the disciple took the token and sized up Yun Chujio. He frowned. This black girl obviously didn't have any spiritual power. How could she have a registration token? Forget it. It's better to be less troublesome. Anyway, with the token, it's not my fault. Go there and get the test jade token. The disciple said impatiently. Okay. Brothers and sisters, let's go and get the test jade token. Yun Chujio waved her little claws, signaling Yun Chu and the others to come over. Yun Chu and the others were a little confused, but they still walked over. The disciple was anxious. Hey, I said I'll let you get the test jade token alone. Do they have a jade token? If not, come and test it. Yun Chujio widened her eyes. Senior brother, my situation is the same as the brother and sister from before. Why can they do it, but we can't? That disciple choked and said angrily out of embarrassment, their token was given by Elder Shao. Elder Shao is the most fair, so he naturally won't cheat. Io, I don't like what you're saying. You're obviously looking at others to make a dish. The token given by Elder Shao is fine, but why can't the token given by our Middle Peak's son Bo Zhong and Elder Sun be fine? Yun Chujio shouted at the top of her voice. Yun Chujio had a stomach full of evil thoughts. This fellow had the idea of taking advantage of the situation. Previously in the Demon Beast Forest, it was obvious that the 5 peaks of the Linghua sect were secretly competing with each other. Today, I've grasped this point. I don't believe that there wouldn't be someone from the Middle Peak standing up for me. The disciple in charge of the registration was angered by Yun Chujio's retort. His face was red and his neck was thick. You're spouting nonsense. No, in short, it's no good. Yun Chu and the others were already scared silly. This little Jio's guts were simply too big. She actually dared to challenge the disciples of the Linghua sect. Yun Chu tugged at Yun Chujio, meaning that it was fine if she couldn't register her name. She didn't expect Yun Chujio to be even more agitated. She stomped her feet and started to scold. If you say it's no good, then it's no good. Who do you think you are? At worst, I'll go and ask Elder Sunday. Why is his token not as useful as that Elder Shao? Could it be that our Middle Peak is half a level lower than the West Peak? That disciple almost fainted from anger. Originally, it was a good job to be in charge of registration. How could he have met such a little girl who was pestering him? A small matter actually went to the point of being between the 2 peaks. If this were to happen, he would not be able to do anything. Just as the situation was in a stalemate, a clear voice came from the sky, Chi Hua, I didn't expect your West Peak. Everyone looked up and saw a man dressed in the Linghua sect's inner sect disciple uniform riding a sword over. The man was tall and straight, slender like a bamboo. His long ink-colored hair fluttered slightly in the wind. He was handsome, and his pair of amorous peach blossom eyes were slightly raised at this moment. There was a sneer on his face. Yun Chujia's focus was on the sword tassel. What the hell was that tender pink sword tassel? It seemed that this person was definitely a flirtatious guy. The disciple who was in charge of registering felt his heart tighten. Feng Ming. Oh no, why did this evil ancestor come? Senior brother Feng Ming, don't listen to this little girl's nonsense. There's some misunderstanding here. The disciple hurriedly went forward to explain. Yun Chujio blinked her eyes. When this flirtatious guy said, "Your West Peak," just now, it was obvious that he didn't like the West Peak. Perhaps he was from the Middle Peak. I had to work harder. This must be senior brother Feng Ming, right? I've long heard that senior brother Feng Ming from the Linghua sect is not only extremely handsome, but he's also magnanimous and the most upright. After seeing him today, it's as I expected. Feng Ming jumped down from the flying sword. After hearing Yun Chujia's words, he was very satisfied. You little girl, you really know how to talk. Even though what you said is the truth, there's no need for you to be so direct. Chapter 100 Only allowed one person. Yun Chujio bared her little white teeth. With a smile, she said, "Senior brother Feng Ming, you came at the right time. Please come and judge. Clearly, the person in front of you can just take Elder Shao's token of West Peak, but I can't take Elder Sun's token of Middle Peak. It's really too much of a bully." When Feng Ming heard this, his expression turned cold. "Chi Hua, what do you mean? It's good to take Elder Shao's token of West Peak. Why can't this little girl take Elder Sun's token of West Peak?" When Yun Chujio heard this, she instantly had an idea. It seemed that this flirtatious man should be from the Middle Peak. Chi Hua secretly complained. How could he be so unlucky? Not only did he meet a little girl who was pestering him, but he also met this Feng Ming. How was he going to end this? When Feng Ming saw that Chi Hua did not speak, he was even more certain that what Yun Chujio said was true. "Chi Hua, can you give me a straightforward answer? Otherwise, I'll bring this little girl to invite Elder Sun over." "Senior brother Feng Ming, since you have spoken, then I will give you face. Little girl, you can bring one person over. You can choose one." Chi Hua gritted his teeth in anger. Elder Sun Bo Zhong was famous for being unstingy. Even if he was unreasonable, he could still stir up some trouble. If he was really invited over, he would definitely not be able to do well. 1. Yun Chujio shook her head. "I can't do one. These are all my brothers and sisters. I can't miss any of them. Little girl, don't push your luck. I'm already giving senior brother Feng Ming face by asking you to bring one. If you don't agree, then don't bring any of them." Chi Hua sneered. This little girl really didn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. She actually wanted to use a token to bring 6 people. No way. Yun Chujio looked at Feng Ming. Feng Ming shrugged and obviously didn't intend to interfere. It was already good enough to bring one person, but 6 people really didn't make sense. Yun Chu and the others all thought that this was the best outcome. After all, it was already good enough to bring one more person along. As for who to bring along, it was up to little Jiu to decide. Yun Chushan secretly gritted her teeth. Yun Chujio would definitely bring Yun Chuzi or Yun Chu along, so she definitely would not be part of it. This senior brother is right. It is indeed enough to bring one person along with a token. But back then, besides Elder Sun, the Peak Master of Middle Peak also had 3 other Elders of Middle Peak. They might have promised to register me with a token, but they did not bring it along with them back then. That was why Elder Sun acted as a representative and gave me a token. Yun Chujio said nonsense with a serious face. The Peak Master of Middle P. You are just a little girl without spirit energy. How can you get the Peak Master of Middle Peak to sign up for you? Chi Hua's face was full of disdain. It was obvious that he did not believe him. TCH. Do you think those mighty figures are as blind as you? More than 20 days ago, in the demon beast forest of Donghua country, the peak master, elder son, and the others saw that I was smart, kind, and cute. Not only did they save me, but they also wanted to bring me directly back to the Spirit Flower sect. However, the peak master said that the Spirit Flower sect had rules and had to participate in the test. Otherwise, I would have taken elder son as my master long ago. Why would I need to look down on you? If you don't believe me, you can ask elder son. Yun Chujia's small face was full of arrogance. This? Chi Hua was somewhat skeptical. More than 20 days ago, all the mighty figures in the sect had indeed rushed to Donghua Nation. It was said that the 9-colored immortal sparrow had appeared. Could it be that what this little girl said was true? Oh right, if you don't believe me, ask that person called by Moyu just now. At that time, I was inside Elder Sun's flying spirit tool and even greeted him. Yun Chujio pointed at Bai Moyu who was not far away. Chapter 101 was done. Chi Hua looked at Bai Moyu. Bai Moyu, is what this little girl said true? Bai Moyu wanted to deny it, but if the matter was exposed in the future, Elder Shao might think that there was something wrong with my quality, so he could only say gloomily, that day, Yun Chujio did ride on the flying spirit tool of the Linghua sect, and Elder Sun said that she was her master. As soon as Bai Moyu finished speaking, everyone instantly exploded. What? Elder Son of the Middle Peak actually took this black girl as his disciple. How was this possible? This black girl didn't have any spirit energy at all. Was Elder Sun blind? Chi Hua was instantly like a deflated rubber ball. If Elder Sun really took this black girl as his disciple, then this black girl would definitely be an inner sect disciple in the future, and he couldn't afford to offend her. Although Feng Ming was still skeptical, he saw that Yun Chujio was sweet-tongued and would cause trouble. Secondly, he didn't like the way the West Peak acted, so he just looked on with an inexplicable cold expression and didn't say anything. Senior brother, if you still don't believe me, you might as well take me to ask Elder Sunday. He has always been kind and amiable, he will definitely be very patient to answer your questions. Yun Chujio emphasized on kind and amiable, and patient. Chi Hua shook his head like a rattledrum. Elder Sun was famous for being a thorn in the side. He even dared to contradict the sect leader, so he would only ask if he was stupid. All right. All right. You guys go and get the test tokens. If I find out that you are lying in the future, HMPH. Chi Hua said a few polite words and forced himself to smooth things over. Yun Chujio did not argue with him. She quickly brought Yun Chu and the others to get the test tokens, so as not to cause any more trouble. At this moment, Yun Chu and the others were dumbfounded. How could this be possible? The Linghua sect's test qualification was the dream of countless people. How many families had spent a huge amount of money just to barely obtain one spot, and little Jiao actually managed to get them 6 spots with just one mouth. That was 6 spots. Wasn't this too awesome? After this incident, in the hearts of the Yun family, Yun Chujio instantly transformed from a pitiful little sheep into a cunning little fox. Bai Moyu and his sister were so angry that they almost vomited blood. Yun Chujio actually used us as a raft to let Yun Chu and the others obtain the qualifications to take the test. How detestable. Brother, how are you going to speak up for that slut? Bai Moru hated Yun Chujio to death. This slut was so ugly and shamelessly hooked up with other people. Could it be that senior brother Feng Ming's eyes weren't good? He actually didn't even look at her. Bai Moyu fro. Besides, that trash Yun Chujio definitely won't be able to pass the entrance test. When the time comes, we'll find an opportunity to deal with her. Bai Moru stomped her feet unwillingly, not saying a word. At this moment, Yun Chuzhou was eagerly trying to get close to Feng Ming. Senior brother Feng Ming, thank you for speaking up for justice. Your reputation is out there, I've admired you for a long time. Today, I've seen that it's exactly as the rumors say, even more outstanding than the rumors say. Feng Ming subconsciously straightened his back. No need to be so polite. It's just a small matter. Senior brother Feng Ming is really like his name. Feng Ming is from the 9 heavens and is extraordinarily handsome. Little Jiu will remember the great favor you've done for me. I will definitely repay you heavily in the future. Yun Chujia's face was full of sincerity. It was clearly flattery, but when she said it, it made people feel extremely sincere. Feng Ming originally did not like the disciples of the West Peak and helped Yun Chujio along the way. Now that he was flattered by Yun Chujia's flattery, he suddenly felt that he was the embodiment of justice and a kind messenger. Little girl, come with me. I have something to tell you. Chapter 102, Wait and see. Yun Chujia's heart skipped a beat when she heard Feng Ming's words. She eagerly followed Feng Ming to a more hidden place. Little girl, I see that you don't have any spiritual power. I'm afraid it will be very difficult for you to pass the test. However, the test this time is different from the previous ones. The first 3 rounds require a team to participate in the test. You must seize the opportunity. Feng Ming saw that Yun Chujio did not have any spiritual power. He could not help but feel sympathetic. Yun Chujia's heart moved, and she quickly thanked him. Thank you, senior brother Feng Ming. I will definitely make good preparations when I go back. Feng Ming could not help but look at Yun Chujio in a new light. He thought that Yun Chujio would definitely ask him about the content of the test, but he did not expect the little girl to know her limits, so the smile on her face became even more genuine. You're welcome. I hope you can pass the test. Yun Chujio thanked him again. Only then did she find the extremely excited Yun Chu and the others and return to the inn. Little Jiu, why did that senior brother Feng Ming look for you just now? As soon as she entered the room, Yun Chu Shan could not wait to ask Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio did not hide anything. He told me that the first 3 rounds of the test were team tests. The results were ranked according to the team's results. Yun Chu Shan immediately cried out, What? Then wouldn't we have a burden like you? Yun Chuki snorted coldly. Third sister, if it weren't for little Jiu, you wouldn't even have the qualifications to participate in the test. What an ingrate. Yun Chuzi and the others also gave Yun Chuzi a reproachful look. Yun Chu Shan quickly said, I was in a rush. I didn't mean anything else. Although Yun Chu Shan said so, she had already calculated in her heart. If she were to team up with the Yun family, she would definitely not get a good result, not to mention that Yun Chujio, this trash, would be a burden. It was not easy for her to get the test qualification. Was she going to give it up just like that? Absolutely not. After dinner, Yun Chu Shan found an excuse and sneaked out of the inn alone. Yun Chu, Yun Chuki, and Yun Chujio stood by the window and watched Yun Chu Shan sneakily leave the inn. Little Jiu, what did you say Yun Chu Shan went to do? Yun Chu asked suspiciously. Of course, she went to find a partner to form a team. She didn't want to be implicated by a good-for-nothing like me. Yun Chujio answered slowly. Humph. What an ingrate. I really misjudged her in the past. But there are no acquaintances in Linghua City. Who did she go to find? Yun Chuki was furious. Why are there no acquaintances? Have you forgotten about the white scum and the others? Bai Moyu? It can't be. The Bai family and... How could they agree to team up with Yun Chu Shan? They will agree because they have the same bad taste. Yun Chujia's eyes flashed with a trace of fierceness. Yun Chu Shan, I hope you won't disappoint me. If you don't seek your own death, I really have no way to get rid of you, the black sheep of the Yun family. Little Jiu, what should we do? Yun Chu didn't notice Little Jiu's expression. She looked at Yun Chu Shan, who was far away, and asked worriedly. Wait and see. Yun Chu Jiu said slowly. Yun Chu and Yun Chuki were stunned. Little Jiu was indeed different from before. Ignoring everything else, just his calmness was much better than theirs. 2 hours later, Yun Chu Shan returned. Besides guilt, there was also an uncontrollable joy in her eyes. Yun Chu Jiu and the other two pretended not to see it. They chatted for a while and then went to sleep. Since the four of them were in the same room, Yun Chu and Yun Chu Shan slept on the bed. Yun Chu Jiu and Yun Chuki simply slept on the ground. In her sleep, Yun Chu Jiu dreamed that a wolf had bitten her neck. She instinctively raised her leg and kicked the wolf. Black thing. How dare you kick me? Do you want to die? A cold voice said, and it was the kind that gnashed her teeth. Chapter 103 I Swear on My Beauty Gigolo. When Yun Chu Jiu heard Di Baiming's voice, she was immediately startled awake. When Yun Chu Jiu opened her eyes, she was a little dumbfounded. That's not right. She was clearly sleeping in the room of the inn. Where was this place? Yun Chu Jiu did not have time to carefully observe her surroundings and quickly focused her attention on Di Baiming. Yun Chu Jiu looked at Di Baiming, who was emitting a dense killing intent, and could not help but shrink her neck. The pretty boy was about to turn into a black face. Also, why did she feel that the pretty boy's posture was a little strange? Why was his leg clamped so tightly? He was actually bending over. Di Baiming was about to explode with anger. Black thing, are you getting bolder and bolder? Not only do you dare to run away privately, you actually dare to kick me. What's the point of me keeping you? Di Baiming's eyes were red. It was obvious that he was very angry. He reached out his hand and was about to slap Yun Chu Jiu. Prince Charming. Prince Charming. Don't kill me with your palm. Even if I die, you have to make me understand, right? Why are you so angry? I didn't run away, I left a letter for you. Yun Chu Jiu was so scared that her little heart was pounding. She really didn't know what was wrong with this pretty boy. Letter? What letter? I didn't see it. You lying black thing, I'll slap you to death. Di Baiming remembered that he excitedly went to find Yun Chu Jiu, but was stood up. He was so angry that he almost fainted. Yun Chu Jiu was about to cry, idle, I stayed up all night to write a letter to you. I even specially instructed my servant, Chun Yu, to give it to you, but she didn't give it to you. Di Baiming snorted, your servant. Every time I went to your place, didn't I knock her out first? How would she give it to me? Are you a pig's brain? Yun Chu Jiu was about to cry because of her stupidity. Yes, every time the gigolo would smash the door and knock Chun Yu out. How would Chun Yu have the chance to give the letter she wrote to the gigolo? My Prince Charming, I swear on my beauty that I really wrote the letter. Yun Chu Jiu said pitifully. Di Baiming's eyes twitched. Your beauty. Sorry, I didn't realize that you have any beauty to speak of. I only saw a black bean sprout. Yun Chu Jiu silently recited 100 times that the impulse was a devil. Only then did she suppress the primal power in her body. Prince Charming, that's not right. Since you didn't see my letter, how did you know that I came to the Linghua faction? Di Baiming touched his nose. I naturally have a way to know what I want to know. Don't change the topic. Any letter you say is fake, right? Yun Chu Jiu's life was in danger at this mo. If there's any ink, I will immediately write it down for you. I'll give you 15 minutes to write the letter down. When that time comes, I'll take this letter of yours and compare it with the one you left at the Yun family. If there's one word missing, I'll I'll whip you. Di Biming really couldn't think of any punishment, he just randomly said one word. Yun Chuzhou cursed in her heart. Damn it. He even used a whip to whip her. This pretty boy didn't have any bad habits, right? He was indeed a pervert. Sooner or later, she was going to break away from his control. Poor Supreme Emperor, how could he have thought that just a casual whip would make dirty little Jiu's mind fill up so much? Prince Charming, but I don't have any ink, paper, or inkstone, how do I write? Humph. An. Go and find some ink, paper, and inkstone right away. Di Biming snorted coldly and walked to the door and shouted outside. An miserably agreed. My lord, it's the middle of the night. Where can I find some ink, paper, and inkstone? Chapter 104 had a painful cry. No matter how Yun Chuzhou looked at it, she felt that Di Biming's walking posture was a little strange. Then, she remembered the kick in her dream. Could it be that she had kicked the gigolo? Ha ha ha, that was hilarious. Yun Chuzhou almost laughed out loud. She quickly turned around and covered her mouth with her hand. However, her heart was bursting with joy. She deserved it. This was karma. Pretty boy, you have a day like this too. Humph. Why didn't I kick you to death? An returned to the house after Di Biming gave his orders. He saw Yun Chuzhi's back facing him, and her small body was trembling non-stop. Di Biming thought that Yun Chuzhou was crying, and he couldn't bear it. He coughed dryly, don't cry. I don't want your life. Yun Chuzhou, who was laughing secretly, was speechless. Yun Chuzhou tried hard to hold back her laughter and turned around with a bitter face. Di Biming looked at her suspiciously. Why are there no tears on your face? Were you pretending to cry just now? How dare you lie to me? Yun Chuzhou hugged Di Biming's waist. Prince Charming, don't you know that there is a kind of pain that makes you want to cry but have no tears? I am a sinner now. When I think about how my carelessness made you so angry, my heart is tormented by guilt, shame, and regret. I have let you down, I am a sinner. I am simply an extremely evil person, and the heavens will not tolerate it. I was wrong, I was extremely wrong. I am simply not a human, I am too much of a bastard. After being hugged by Yun Chuzhou, Di Biming's belly full of anger instantly vanished into thin air. All the pores on his body seemed to have opened up, and he only felt an itch in his heart. He had to do something to express his feelings at this moment. Hence, Di Biming decided to continue what he had been disturbed by Yun Chuzhou. He lowered his head and bit Yun Chuzhi's slender neck. Di Biming initially only wanted to suck blood to detoxify the cold. However, after sucking 2 mouthfuls of blood, his taste slowly changed. Yun Chuzhou did not react at first. When she reacted and wanted to break free, she realized that she could not move at all. Damn it! Was the gigolo a vampire? Was he trying to suck her into a mummy? She had not lived long enough, she did not want to die. However, Yun Chuzhou realized that something was not right. What was the damn gigolo doing? Was he a dog? Was he looking for something to eat? Prince Charming, what are you doing? I was wrong, I promise there won't be a next time. You are a magnanimous man, please forgive me this time. Yun Chuzhou said with a trembling voice. Di Biming ignored her. After a while, he finally released Yun Chuzhou. Prince Charming, why did you bite me? Yun Chuzhou felt that her face. Oh no, could it be that the gigolo had poisoned her? Di Biming snorted coldly. Do you think I'm willing to do this because I have nothing better to do? Isn't it because you ate my exquisite scarlet sunset fruit? From now on, I'll drink your blood every month to detoxify the poison. You owe me this. After hearing that, not only was Yun Chuzhou not afraid, but she felt relieved. Since the gigolo wanted to rely on her blood to detoxify the poison, then he wouldn't kill her. With this understanding, Yun Chujio became bolder. She snorted coldly, "If you want to drink blood, then do it quickly. Why are you taking so long? I'm happy. I think you're too ugly. I'll decorate it for you. If you don't believe me, take a look for yourself. Isn't it much more beautiful?" Di Baiming took out a mirror from his storage ring and handed it to Yun Chujio. Chapter 105 The little flame of resistance was extinguished. Yun Chujio took the mirror suspiciously and saw that her neck was covered with red marks. "Black thing, how is it? Is it much better looking than before?" "You don't have to thank me, I." Just as Di Baiming was mocking Yun Chujio proudly, Yun Chujio suddenly threw the mirror and bit his neck. Yun Chujio thought it was simple. Wasn't the gigolo going to bite her? Then she would bite him back. Anyway, he couldn't really kill her in order to detoxify the poison. Di Baiming felt his whole body stiffen. The soft touch on his neck turned into a numbness that spread throughout his body. This numbness even made him ignore the pain in his wound. He just let Yun Chujio bite him again and again. Yun Chujio bit her lips until they were numb, but she did not see any reaction from Di Baiming. She could not help but shut her mouth, thinking to herself, "Doesn't this pretty boy know how to feel pain? What a pervert." Yun Chujio saw that Di Baiming's neck was covered with tiny teeth marks, and only then did she feel much better. After a long while, Di Baiming came back to his senses and roared fiercely, "Black thing, you actually dared to bite me. Do you want to die?" Yun Chujio hugged her shoulders and shook her calves, "If you don't want to detoxify the cold poison, then just kill me. Anyway, I'll exchange my life for yours, what am I afraid of?" Di Baiming didn't react at first, then his eyes deepened and he said coldly, "Black thing, you seem to have made a mistake. My poison doesn't have to be your blood. If you really want to die, then I'll fulfill your wish." Di Baiming approached Yun Chujio step by step, and his body emitted waves of cold air. Yun Chujio was terrified. She immediately changed from a cocky little peacock to a fawning little quail. "Prince Charming, it's a misunderstanding." "A misunderstanding, this is all a misunderstanding. I was just joking, wasn't it funny?" "Ha ha ha, it's really funny." Di Baiming did not reply. He just raised his hand, and a murderous aura enveloped Yun Chujio's small body. It's actually not that funny. That Prince Charming, I didn't mean to bite you. Didn't you say that this red dot is very nice to decorate? I just wanted to decorate it for you. Anine, you're back. Quick, come in. I was just about to write a love letter to my Prince Charming. Yun Chujio actually did not see Anine. However, Anine happened to borrow a set of ink, paper, and inkstone from the inn's room. When she heard Yun Chujio's shout, she asked outside, "Your Excellency. I've brought the ink, paper, and inkstone." Di Baiming saw that the little flame that had just appeared in Yun Chujio's body had been extinguished by him, so he took the opportunity to say, "Send it in." Anine pushed the door open and respectfully placed the brush, ink, paper, and inkstone on the table. Di Baiming waved his hand, indicating that he could leave now. Anine inadvertently caught a glimpse of Di Baiming's neck. Then, she staggered and ran out with her hands and feet in a daze. Anfone was hidden in the dark and waved at Anine. His face was full of excitement. "What happened? Your 10,000-year-old ice-cold face is broken. I saw it just now. There are red marks all over your neck. It's obvious that it was bitten by a human." Anine's face was a little unnatural. He was not a gossipy person, but what he saw just now had a huge impact on him. If he did not share it with someone, he would really go crazy from holding it in. Anfone almost jumped up in shock. Your Majesty was done by the black girl again. The black girl is really fierce. Chapter 106, Prince Charming, I will listen to you. Yun Chujio did not know that she had become a pervert in An Fong and An Yin's place. At this moment, this guy was writing the so-called love letter from memory. Yun Chujio was secretly proud as she wrote. Fortunately, she had a photographic memory. Otherwise, she would not be able to escape the clutches of the pretty boy. Prince Charming, I have finished writing. Please have a look. Yun Chujio doggedly handed the letter that she had written from memory to Di Baiming. Di Baiming took it and looked at it. He could not help but twitch his lips. Black thing, your handwriting is too ugly, isn't it? Even a dog's handwriting is better than yours. Yun Chujio laughed dryly with guilt. Whether the handwriting is good or not, that is just a formality. Look at the content, look at the content. Besides, my handwriting is so smooth, like a wave. How beautiful. Di Baiming looked at her with disdain and picked up the letter to read. Di Baiming's brows gradually relaxed. His yearning for him was like a torrential river, never stopping. HMPH, she knows her place. Coquettish slut. Vixen. Di Baiming thought of those pretentious admirers and immediately felt that what Yun Chujio said was too accurate. Black Stuff's literary talent is not bad. When he saw the third line, the corners of Di Baiming's eyes twitched. The world was so big, and she wanted to go out and take a look. This could also be a reason. When Di Baiming saw the last line of text message love and the sign of little Gio who loves you to the bone, his heart was extremely irked. He had said it before, he was so outstanding, so handsome, and so considerate. How could He Dong have deliberately run away? It looked like she really came to the Linghua faction to be a better match for him. Black thing, since you said it so sincerely, this venerable one will let you off this time. If I find out that what you said is a lie, I will definitely slap you to death with my own hands. Although Di Baiming's words were fierce. However, the way he looked at Yun Chujio contained a trace of indulgence that he did not realize. Yun Chujio quickly agreed, I know, my Prince Charming. I will definitely train hard in the Linghua faction and try my best to chase you as soon as possible. Di Baiming nodded in satisfaction. I heard that the Linghua faction has an entrance test. You can't fail it, right? Yun Chujio patted her small chest. Prince Charming. I will definitely pass it. I was personally taught by you, how can those ordinary people compare to me? Di Baiming was very comfortable with this high hat. He took out a fruit from his storage ring. The room was immediately filled with a strange fragrance. Yun Chujio's eyeballs almost fell out. She looked at Di Baiming pitifully. My Prince Charm. It was rare that Di Baiming did not tease her. He directly handed the fruit to her. As long as you perform well, there will be more. Yun Chujio answered vaguely as she ate, yes, yes, my Prince Charming, I will listen to you. Yun Chujio only felt that the fruit was sweet and soft. It melted in her mouth. It was a delicacy that she had never tasted before. In the end, she shamelessly licked her fingers that were stained with the juice. Di Baiming looked at Yun Chujio licking her fingers like a kitten. He felt a little uncomfortable and coughed dryly. The sky is about to brighten. I will send you back. Yun Chujio was a typical mother with milk. A single fruit instantly made Di Baiming's image much better. His smile was bright and dazzling. Okay, my Prince Charming. Thank you for your hard work. Di Baiming resisted the urge to take out the remaining fruit in his storage ring. He silently warned himself that the water would flow slowly. This fruit was like a carrot hanging in front of a donkey. If the donkey ate the carrot, then the donkey would not work hard. Chapter 107. Yun Chuzhou did not know that Di Biming had compared her to a donkey. This fellow was savoring the wonderful taste of the fruit. It was really delicious. Di Biming carried Yun Chuzhou back to the inn like he was carrying a chicken. Di Biming placed Yun Chuzhou outside the room and said with a straight face, "Don't bite others in the future, or I'll knock your teeth out." Yun Chuzhou nodded subconsciously. Di Biming then turned around and left. Yun Chuzhou entered the room and saw Yun Chu and the other two sleeping soundly. The gigolo must have used some kind of trick. Yun Chuzhou laid on the ground and was a little confused. What did the gigolo mean by telling her not to bite anyone? If she was not allowed to bite anyone, then she could bite him. Well, this pretty boy was indeed a pervert. Not only did he like to whip women, but he also liked to be bitten. He was a complete pervert. Yun Chujia's imagination ran wild for a while, and then she fell asleep without a care in the world. Outside the inn, Feng stood there like a quail. When he saw Di Biming walking over, he quickly went forward to apologize. "Your Excellency, this subordinate knows his mistake. There was a problem with the voice transmission talisman, and this subordinate was not able to make it in time." Di Biming waved his hand and tossed Feng a storage bag. "This was an accident, it's not your fault. Take these voice transmission talismans, if there's any disturbance, inform me immediately." "Yes. Your Excellency will do as you say." Feng did not recover until Di Biming's shadow disappeared into the night. My God, that black girl actually had such great magic power. She actually turned their venerable self from an iceberg into a warm man. Wasn't that too shocking? Feng opened the storage bag in his hand, and it was even more chaotic. There were a total of 5 voice transmission talismans in the storage bag. Oh my God, this voice transmission talisman was a rare thing, and their venerable self actually gave him 5 at once. Their venerable self must really like the black girl. TSK, the black girl was really fierce. Look at the way she bit their Excellency's neck, it was almost like a beehive. He did not expect His Excellency to like this tune. What a heavy taste. Feng thought of the teeth marks on Di Biming's neck and hesitated for a long time. In the end, he mustered up the courage to pick up a voice transmission talisman. "Your Excellency, I think that you should deal with the red mark on your neck. Otherwise, it will be very sensational." After a long while, the voice transmission talisman began to tremble. Feng hurriedly used his divine sense to check. Di Biming's cold voice came from inside. "From this month onward." Ever since he met the black girl, His Excellency had become more and more humane. For the sake of the monthly salary, he would definitely protect the black girl. With Feng's reminder, Di Biming, Yun Chuzhou would not be so lucky. Early the next morning, Yun Chushan screamed, "Little Jiu! What happened to your neck?" Yun Chu and Yun Chuki ran over when they heard the scream. They stared at Yun Chujia's neck with suspicion. Yun Chuzhou opened her eyes in a daze and yawned. She said carelessly, "What happened to my neck? Was it bitten by a bug?" "Nonsense. The mark on your neck was clearly bitten by a man. Little Jiu, how could you be so unscrupulous?" Yun Chushan's tone carried a trace of excitement. She had finally caught hold of something on her. "Bitten by a man? Third sister, I didn't expect you to know so much. I'm still young, I don't understand what you mean. Besides, we're both sleeping in the same room, where did the man come from?" Yun Chuzhou pouted, her face full of confidence. Chapter 108. Xiaojiu eats snacks. Maybe you sneaked out after we fell asleep. Are you young? You have a criminal record. The more Yun Chushan looked at Yun Chujia's neck, the more suspicious she felt. Yun Chuzhou hated Di Biming to death in her heart. It was all that damn gigolo's fault. However, She also bit his neck a few times. Was he also surrounded by people? Thinking of the smug gigolo being watched and laughed at by others, Yun Chujio unconsciously laughed out loud. Yun Chushan took a step back suspiciously. Did Yun Chujio go crazy? Third sister, if little Jio sneaks out, how can we not be awakened? Besides, this is not Yi City. We are not familiar with this place. How can there be a man? It must be a bug. Yun Chuki could not stand Yun Chushan's smug look. Yun Chushan suddenly raised her voice, bug. I slept on the ground with her, why didn't she bite me? Humph. Maybe the bug also knows that your blood is black. Yun Chuki still didn't change her poisonous tongue. Yun Chushan's face immediately darkened. Yun Chuki, what do you mean? It means literally, if you don't want people to know, don't do it yourself. Yun Chushan had a guilty conscience. When she heard Yun Chuki's words, she said with a stern expression, I didn't do anything wrong. What's there to be afraid of people knowing? It's the mark on little Jio's neck that is very suspicious. Yun Chujio gave a look to Yun Chuki, who was about to fly into a rage. She laughed and said, anyway, this neck of mine is definitely not bitten by a human. You can think whatever you want. I'm starving to death. Hurry up and eat breakfast. Yun Chushan felt a little guilty, so she didn't dwell on this matter anymore. After breakfast, Yun Chuzi and the others found Yun Chujio. Little Jio, what do we need to prepare for the entrance test in 2 days? Unknowingly, the members of the Yun family treated Yun Chujio as the person who made the decision. Yun Chujio giggled and said, eat well and sleep well. There will always be good people. We will definitely be able to pass the first 3 rounds. Yun Chuzi and the others were stunned. Little Jio, this will work. Yun Chujio shrugged her shoulders. What else can we do? Even if you don't sleep for 2 days, you can't level up, right? Why don't you save some energy? Everyone thought about it and thought that Yun Chujio was right. After all, they couldn't make any qualitative leap, so they might as well save some energy. Therefore, for the next 2 days, the members of the Yun family mainly rested. Yun Chujio, who was in charge of the money, also became generous. She sold 2 horses and exchanged them for a few thousand spirit pearls. Everyone's food standard also improved a lot. One night before the test, Yun Chushan took out an oil paper bag and handed it to Yun Tsi. This is the snack that third sister bought for you just now. Try it. Yun Chujio's eyes flashed, and she smiled as she took the oil paper bag. Third sister is really thoughtful. We are all sisters, how could we have a grudge against each other overnight? I have long forgiven you, third sister. Yun Chushan smiled unnaturally. Little Jio is really getting more and more sensible. Quick, try the snack. Yun Chujio's heart turned cold. Yun Chushan, I've already given you a chance, but you still insist on harming me. From now on, I won't treat you as a member of the Yun family anymore. Third sister, this snack looks very delicious, but it's a little dry. Help me get a glass of water, 1 mouthful of snack and 1 mouthful of water is just right. Yun Chushan immediately turned around to get a glass of water. When she turned around, she saw that the corner of Yun Chujio's mouth was stained with a lot of crumbs. She snatched the glass of water and gulped it down. Yun Chujio kept praising, damn, third sister, this snack is really delicious. I ate 2 pieces in one go and almost choked to death. Yun Chushan's eyes flashed with a trace of joy. It's done. I've done what Bai Moyu asked her to do. Tomorrow, she will be able to team up with them. The Bai siblings already have very strong helpers. She will definitely be able to enter the Spirit Flower sect. As for Yun Chu and the others, with Yun Chujio, this good-for-nothing implicated, they will definitely not be able to pass the test. Chapter 109, Ouch, my stomach hurts. Yun Chujio finished the water and looked at the oil paper bag with a regretful expression. Third sister, I'm too full for dinner. I really can't eat the remaining pieces. Can I eat them tomorrow? Yun Chushan thought to herself that there was enough medicine in the 2 pieces of dim sum, so she said with a smile, you little greedy cat, then you can eat them tomorrow. Yun Chujio happily put away the oil paper bag and deliberately showed off to Yun Chu and Yun Chuki, this is my snack, I'm the youngest, you two are not allowed to eat it secretly. Yun Chuki curled her lips, who cares, maybe someone poisoned it. Yun Chujio almost gave a thumbs up, Io, Sister Chi, you are so smart. Yun Chuki's eyes shrank, and then she shouted angrily with a sullen face, Yun Chuki, you have always been against little Joe before, and now you are always against me. What is wrong with you? Yun Chuki was afraid that Yun Chuki would say something that would expose her, so she quickly interrupted, third sister, seventh sister must have seen you buy snacks for me. She is jealous of me. Yun Chuki saw Yun Chujia's expression and snorted coldly. She did not say anything. She really hated people like Yun Chushan who betrayed her. The next morning, the members of the Yun family arrived at the foot of the Linghua Sex Mountain early in the morning. Even though they had arrived early enough, there were already many people gathered at the foot of the mountain. After another hour, some disciples of the Linghua sect began to come out to maintain order. Those who are taking the test, come over and line up with the test jade token. Those who are not involved, step back. After a short bustle, the people who were taking the test stood in more than 10 rows according to the requirements. Yun Chujio roughly looked at the tens of thousands of people. There was a tall platform in front of everyone, and a middle-aged man stood on it. This test is divided into 4 rounds. The first 3 rounds are for team testing, and the 4th round is for individual testing. Those who pass the first 3 rounds can enter our Linghua sect to do odd jobs, and those who pass the 4th round can enter the outer sect. When the middle-aged man said this, he used his spirit energy, therefore, everyone heard it very clearly. Everyone was slightly puzzled. Why were there only outer sect disciples and not inner sect disciples? The middle-aged man seemed to know everyone's doubts, he then said, this test is different from the previous ones. The reason why there are no inner sect disciples is because, 1 year after you enter the sect will hold a trial. Regardless of whether you are odd jobs or outer sect disciples, you can participate. At that time, you will be redetermined according to your results whether you enter the inner sect or the outer sect, or whether you are odd jobs. Yun Chujio thought to herself, the Linghua sect is quite sneaky. They're afraid that their disciples won't make progress, so they came up with this idea. It's not a bad idea. The middle-aged man waited for everyone's discussion to quieten down, then, he said, the first 3 rounds of the test require a team test. 7 people will form a team. You can form your own team. If there are no teams in the end, you will be randomly divided into teams. After you are divided into groups, come to my right side to register. Alright, from now on, the time limit is 1 hour. Yun Chujio clapped her hands. Huh, that's great. There are exactly 7 of us. That's right. Huh, it just so happens that there are 7 of us in a group. There's no need to separate them. Looks like little Joe is right. Our luck is indeed not bad. Yun Chu and the others agreed happily. Only Yun Chushan's eyes were twinkling. She looked around and stared at Yun Chujio in confusion. Yun Chujio could not help but sneer in her heart. However, she suddenly showed a painful expression on her face. Oh my, why is my stomach suddenly hurting? Yun Chu and the others immediately became nervous. Little Joe, what's wrong with you? Are you alright? Did you eat something bad? But we all ate the same breakfast. Chapter 110, the seventh person. Everyone in the Yun family was panicking, but Yun Chushan's eyes revealed a trace of pride. It was a success. Yun Chushan looked around and finally saw the Bai siblings. Bai Moyu had clearly seen the situation here, so he nodded slightly at Yun Chushan. Yun Chushan's heart was filled with joy, and she pretended to ask Yun Chujio, "Little Jio, are you in a lot of pain? Can you hold on?" Yun Chujia's small face scrunched up. "No, my stomach hurts so much that it's hard for me to walk." "If that's the case, then you won't be able to take the test." "What a pity." Yun Chushan said the words of pity, but her eyes could not hide her gloating. "Third sister, little Jio has always eaten the same things as us. She ate the pastries you bought last night. Did you do something to her?" Yun Chuki pushed away the pretentious Yun Chushan and asked angrily. Hearing Yun Chuki's words, Yun Chu and the others also looked at Yun Chushan with suspicion. Yun Chushan showed an aggrieved and resentful expression. "Yun Chuki, you have been targeting me everywhere, and now you're actually framing me. And you actually believe her nonsense. Well, since that's the case, let's split up here. I'll find someone else to form a team." After saying that, Yun Chushan didn't wait for the others to stop her. She quickly squeezed out of the crowd and disappeared after making several turns. Yun Chulu scratched his head. Third sister is usually not like this. Why is she so impulsive this time? Humph. What impulsive? She's just borrowing the slope to get off the donkey. If you don't believe me, you can take a look later. She must have gotten mixed up with Bai Moyu and the others. Yun Chuki said angrily. She then pointed at Yun Chujia's forehead and scolded, "Say, you know that she has no good intentions. How dare you eat the snacks she gave you? Are you that greedy?" Yun Chujio winked at her. "What's real is fake, and what's fake is real. If we don't do this, how can we let them down their guard? What if something bad happens again?" Yun Chuki was surprised and happy. "Little Jio, are you okay?" "Shoo. Continue acting, let them lower their guard." Yun Chujio was still holding her stomach and squatting on the ground, looking like she was in great pain. The faces of the Yun family members stiffened, and with great difficulty, they managed to squeeze out a worried look. "Little Jio, but there are only 6 of us left now. What if we are still one person short?" Yun Chuzi frowned. As soon as Yun Chuzi finished speaking, a dirty little beggar squeezed in from the side. "You are short of people. Let's see how I am." Yun Chuzi and the others were stunned. It was not that they looked down on the beggar, but how did a little beggar at the second level of Chi Ri Fin? The little beggar was a little scared by the look and said with a slight tremble, "Forget it if you don't want to, humph." "Who said I don't want to? Welcome to join us. How should I address you?" Yun Chujio smiled brightly. The little beggar saw the sincerity in Yun Chujia's smile and was stunned for a moment. He then said in a noncommittal manner, "Ching Si, my name is Ching Si." "Ching Si? You're a girl?" Yun Chuba cried out in shock. The little beggar was instantly like a cat whose tail had been stepped on. He widened his eyes and shouted, "I'm a girl. What's wrong? Do you have a problem with that?" Yun Chuba was shocked and said embarrassedly, "I'm just asking what's wrong. Besides, how can a girl be so dirty?" As soon as Yun Chuba finished her words, the little beggar sat on the ground and cried loudly, "Sob, sob, 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 do you think I want to do this? Who asked me to be a girl? Who asked me to be born in that shabby family that values boys over girls?" Chapter 111 goes straight to Qing. Yun Chu was the softest. When she saw the little beggar called Qing Si crying until she was out of breath, she took out a handkerchief and handed it to her. "Don't cry anymore. Wipe your tears." Qing Si took the handkerchief and wiped it randomly. Then, she said stubbornly, "Who said that girls are definitely not as good as boys? I, Qing Si, want to prove that I am 100 times better than those useless people in my family. You are ambitious. Let me introduce you to the members of our group. This is my fourth brother, Yun Chuzi, and this is my beloved fifth sister, Yun Chu." Yun Chuzhou introduced the members of the Yun family to Qing Si. "By the way, Qing Si, how old are you?" 15. Yun Chuzhou squatted on the ground and clapped her hands. "Huh, this is great. I am still the youngest. In the future, there will be one more person to bully. Qing Si. Can I go back on my word? Why does it feel like I'm on a pirate ship?" Yun Chuzi coughed dryly. "Well, now that we're all here, shouldn't we think of a name? Otherwise, how would we announce our name to the public?" Yun Chuzhou rolled her eyes. "Why don't we call it straight up Qin Yun? Coincidentally, our surname also has Qin Sis Qin character. I'm so talented." Everyone thought that this name was not bad. Not only did it contain the Yun character and the Qin character, but it also had a good meaning. They all praised Yun Chujia's name for being brilliant. Yun Chuzhou naturally showed off for a while. Then, she held her stomach and led everyone to the disciple in charge of the test to register. Straight to the Qin Yun. When the disciple in charge of the registration heard the name of the group that Yun Chuzi mentioned, he could not help but raise his eyebrows in disdain. Just these 7 people in front of him and they still wanted to go straight to the Qin Yun? It was simply wishful thinking. The other groups that were waiting for registration also laughed at him. TSK, some people are really thick-skinned. To go straight to Qin Yun, I think they are really shameless. That's right, the most powerful one is only at the 4th level of the spirit enhancement realm, and there is also a trash without spiritual power. If he can really pass the 3 rounds of tests, I will write his name upside down. Brother Qi, if your name is upside down, it won't sound good. Qi Bai, idiot, ha ha ha. Screw you. It's impossible for them to pass, so of course, I don't have to really write my name upside down. Qing Sis' expression was somewhat unsightly. When she was in the family, she had also been ridiculed and looked down upon like this. Could it be that she had made the wrong bet by choosing Yun Chuzhou and the others? No. She must be very powerful, so she decided to follow her. Yun Chuzhou didn't know that she had unintentionally gained a fangirl. This fellow narrowed his eyes and remembered the few people who spoke in his heart. It wasn't too late for little Jiu to take revenge. Just you wait. Speaking of which, it was a coincidence. She did not know whether Bai Moyu and the others had come here on purpose or not. Yun Chuzhou sized up their group. Other than the Bai siblings and the embarrassed Yun Chushan, there were 2 men and 2 women. The 2 men were at the 6th level spirit enhancement while the 2 women were at the 5th level spirit enhancement. When Yun Chuki saw that Yun Chushan was indeed with Bai Moyu and the others, she was instantly furious. Yun Chushan, you're really good. You were acting like a little white lotus before, but now you've revealed your true colors. Yun Chushan snorted coldly, I don't feel that there's anything wrong with me when I walk higher and lower. Be more polite with your words. When I enter the Linghua sect, the Yun family and all of you will have to rely on me. Yun Chuzhou tugged at Yun Chuki's sleeve, she said pitifully, Third sister, we won't stop you if you walk higher, but you should never have formed a team with our Yun family's sworn enemy. Moreover, you conspired with them to drug me. It really makes me sad. Fortunately, I brought some medicinal herbs. Otherwise, I would definitely be forced to withdraw from the test. Chapter 112 The shameless Yun Chuzhou. When the onlookers heard Yun Chujia's words, they were immediately energized. Yo, there's a story behind this. Yun Chushan was originally guilty, and now that Yun Chujio had exposed her, she was in a very sorry state. She could only say randomly, "You're spouting nonsense. You're spouting nonsense. You're just jealous of me." Yun Chujio could not help but smile bitterly. She said in a heartbroken manner, "Third sister, am I jealous of you? I helped you obtain your qualification to take the test. If I'm jealous of you, why should I do anything unnecessary? Forget it, justice is in the heart of the people. Since you're so cruel, let's not have any interactions in the future. Let's go." The bystanders had always sympathized with the weak. Although they had previously despised Yun Chujio and the others, they were now targeting Yun Chou and Bai Moyu. TSK, that woman is quite good-looking. I didn't expect her to have such a black heart. Yeah, isn't she just an ingrate? And that Bai Moyu is probably not a good person either. Shoo. Keep your voice down. I heard that Bai Moyu is related to Elder Shao. Don't make things difficult for us when the time comes. Bai Moyu almost vomited blood from anger. This Yun Chujio was really a scourge. Just 2 sentences had ruined his reputation. Yun Chujio, just you wait. When you are eliminated, I will definitely kill you. Bai Moru glared at Yun Chushan. She didn't know what her brother was thinking. He actually let Yun Chushan team up with them. He was really a jinx. He had dragged them down just as he arrived. Yun Chushan smiled at Bai Moru ingratiatingly. Now that she had completely offended Yun Chujio and the others, she could only cling on to the Bai siblings' thighs. After a quarter of an hour, the disciple in charge of the test shouted, "Those who are taking part in the test, go to the designated area to take part in the test." Yun Chujio held her stomach and was protected by Yun Chu and the rest as they stepped into the designated area. The members of the Qin Yun team only saw a white light flash before their eyes. The scene before their eyes had already changed. At this moment, they were standing on an empty piece of land. Other than the 7 of them, there was no one else. In front of them was a stone staircase that stretched as far as the eye could see. It directly reached into the clouds, as if it directly reached the sky. The most shocking thing was that the angle of the stone step increased as it went up. The part that reached into the clouds was almost perpendicular to the ground. If they accidentally fell down, they would definitely be smashed into minced meat. Just when everyone was shocked, a voice sounded, "Disciples participating in the test, you need to In addition, all of you must reach it. The test begins now." Yun Chujio stared at the stone steps in front of her and rolled her eyes. What was this test? The first round of the test should not be particularly difficult. It should be a test of courage, stamina, and endurance. Cough, cough, I have something to say. Yun Chujio did not pretend to be weak at this moment. She put her small hands behind her back and said in a pretentious manner. "Little Jiu, when did we choose you to be the team leader?" Yun Chuki curled her lips. Yun Chujio widened her eyes. "We had an agreement when we came from Yi City. You all have to listen to me. Did you all go back on your word?" Yun Chuki rolled her eyes and did not speak. Yun Chujio then continued, "This stone step test should be a test of everyone's courage, stamina, and endurance. I believe that everyone is very brave, not to mention stamina and endurance. Everyone will definitely pass it." Without waiting for everyone to express their opinions, Yun Chujio said shamelessly, "However, as you all know, I'm quite useless. So while you guys climb, you should also conserve some of your stamina. When I can't climb anymore, you guys will take turns carrying me." Chapter 113 Secret Medicine. After hearing Yun Chujio's thick-skinned words, although the corners of the eyes of the other 6 people twitched, they all tacitly agreed. After all, they needed all of them to pass. Seeing this, Yun Chujio was very satisfied. She waved her small claws and said, "Let's go." At the beginning, everyone was very relaxed. They were chatting and laughing, but Yun Chujio immediately stopped them with a stern voice, "Don't talk, save your strength." Everyone was dejected and didn't speak anymore. They thought that little Jiu was too serious. Although this stone step was a little long, with their strength, there shouldn't be any problems. As time passed, everyone no longer thought that way. This stone step seemed to have no end, and the angle was getting bigger and bigger. Everyone's legs seemed to be filled with lead, and their clothes were soaked in sweat. Yun Chuki lost her balance and almost fell down. Fortunately, Yun Chuzi pulled her back. As a result, everyone became a little timid, afraid that they would fall down if they lost their balance. Yun Chujio giggled. "Don't worry, even if you fall down, you won't die. This must be some kind of trick. Climb with all your might, I'm still waiting for you to carry me." Hearing this, Yun Chu and the others couldn't help but relax a little. However, hearing little Jio's voice, she wasn't panting at all. It was really strange. Little Jio's physical strength was actually better than theirs. If they turned around to look at Yun Chujio, they would definitely be even more surprised. Not only was Yun Chujio not panting at all, but her forehead was also only sweating a little. Yun Chujio looked at their backs and shook her head. The Qing Xian continent placed too much emphasis on cultivating spiritual power. Instead, they lacked the training of flexibility and endurance. In the future, they would need to help them train. After another hour, everyone had reached the limits of their bodies. Every step was extremely difficult. Basically, they had to drag the railing next to them and climb up. Moreover, there was a cloud of mist surrounding them, and they still couldn't see the end of it. Everyone couldn't help but feel a little disheartened. Yun Chujio estimated that there was still an hour left. Time was about to run out, so she had to think of something. Yun Chujio rolled her eyes and opened a small bag that she carried with her. Then, she took out a paper bag. "Hey, I have the secret medicine that grandfather gave me. After you eat it, you can quickly recover your strength. Here, I'll give each of you one." When everyone heard this, their spirits were immediately lifted. They took the secret medicine that Yun Chujio handed over and were stunned. "Little Jiu, isn't this the candied fruit? Is it really a secret medicine?" Yun Chujio nodded her head with. "Otherwise, how else could I have persevered until now?" Everyone thought about it and agreed. If it wasn't for the secret medicine, how could little Jiu, who didn't have spiritual power, be so powerful? She didn't look tired at all. She was much stronger than us. Everyone ate the secret medicine in their hands one after another. Sure enough, they felt their bodies suddenly filled with energy. "Little Jiu, this secret medicine is really useful. I think I can climb this far." "Exactly, I feel my whole body is full of energy now. Let alone climbing this step, I can even defeat a level 2 demonic beast. That's right. My legs are no longer hurting and my waist is no longer sore. I can climb up 6 steps in one go." Yun Chujio was embarrassed. This phrase sounded a little familiar. "Alright, since everyone has recovered their strength, let's hurry up and climb up. It's almost time." Yun Chujio urged everyone with a stern face. When everyone heard Yun Chujio's words, they immediately felt like they were injected with stimulants as they tried their best to climb up. Chapter 114 was a clever design. Yun Chujio looked at the backs of the people who were trying their best to climb up. A cunning look flashed across her eyes. These innocent children were really easy to fool. However, she did not plan to tell them the truth. Perhaps this secret medicine would still be useful in the future. After 15 minutes, they finally saw the end of the stone steps. The crowd was even more excited. Just as they were about to climb up in one go, Yun Chujio quickly shouted, "Wait." Everyone was very puzzled. "Little Jiu, what's wrong? Don't go up yet. Didn't the person who tested previously say that only after passing the first round of the test can we proceed to the second round of the test?" Yun Chujio blinked her eyes. There must be a story behind this. Yes, is there a problem? It's better to hurry up and go up. We're running out of time. Yun Chulu was a hot-tempered person. Seeing that the time was almost up, he could not help but feel a little anxious. Yun Chujio rubbed her chin, her eyeballs rolled around. "Sixth brother, don't be anxious, don't be anxious. I thought about it just now. It's very likely that the second round of the test is directly above this step. If we don't make any preparations and just recklessly rush up, it's very likely that we'll directly choke on our farts. It can't be. The Linghua sect can't be that abnormal, right? Although we ate the secret medicine, we're also exhausted. We definitely won't be able to pass any test that's arranged for us." Yun Chulu said in surprise. "I think it's very possible. Do you think that the Linghua sect is so easy to enter?" "Little Jiu, then what should we do?" Yun Chuki felt that Yun Chujia's words made a lot of sense. "Anyway, there's still time. You guys take a rest first, and they'll think about it." Yun Chujio rubbed her chin, and her brain started to work quickly. If she was the person who designed the test segment, after testing her courage and physical strength, what test would she do? Yes, that's right. It should be her reaction speed. There must be people or demon beasts lying in ambush, or it could be a formation or something like that. Brothers and sisters, there must be an ambush up there, but the test will only be triggered after all of us go up. Among us, fourth brother has the highest spiritual power, and he can also release his spiritual power. How about this, we go up first. Fourth brother, wait for us to be ready, then you go up. Yun Chujio waved her small claws, she made a decision immediately. Everyone seemed to be used to listening to Yun Chujio's orders and began to carry out her orders without any doubt. Thus, Yun Chujio and the others climbed to the top of the stone steps first. What appeared before their eyes was a lush green grassland with a few wild flowers. Especially when the sun shone on their bodies, it made them feel lazy. They just wanted to lie down and sleep. At this moment, in the Linghua sect's meeting hall, besides the few elders who were in seclusion, the elders of the Five Peaks and the Linghua sect's sect master, Xianyuan Changkong, were all watching the entrance test in front of the Ying stone. TSK, old man Chu, your question this time is really too insidious. Not to mention those little rookies, even the current disciples will feel extremely relaxed when they see this grassland after they are completely exhausted. A little old man with a goatee said with a beaming smile, "This is a good idea that I thought of for a few months before coming up with." Shan Yanghu. The test was their ability to react on the spot. Look at these little rookies, each and every one of them as stupid as pigs. Seeing them being tortured until they cried for their parents, this old man is very gratified. The corners of everyone's eyes twitched. This old man Chu was becoming more and more mischievous as he lived. Only Master Xianyuan pointed to a corner of the shadow stone and said, "Elder Qiu, although your test design is very ingenious, it seems that this little girl has already guessed your intentions." Everyone followed the direction Master Xianyuan pointed and looked over. They saw two youths lying on the grass. After a black girl kicked them and said a few serious words, those people became vigilant and surrounded the little girl in the middle. Would Chapter 115 have a comeback? Elder Chu raised his beard and said unwillingly, HMPH. The shadow stone can only see movement but not hear sound. Perhaps that black girl was just a blind cat that ran into a dead rat. At this moment, a disciple who was in charge of the test had already handed the situation of Yun Chujio and the others to Elder Chu. Elder Chu took a look, he could not help but laugh out loud. I told you, how can others compare with such a smart brain of mine? Look, this straight to the clouds group is really too weak. And that black girl is a good-for-nothing who doesn't have any spiritual power. She must be afraid, so she got people to surround her in the middle. Everyone was stunned, and when they saw Yun Chujio and the others' information, they were also stunned. The highest level is only at the 4th level of spirit enhancement. And there's a good-for-nothing who doesn't have any spiritual power. Then how did they climb up? Also, how did they get the qualification to take the test? The disciple in charge of the test had a slight twitch at the corner of his mouth. He told them what he knew. Everyone's gaze fell on an old man with a square face. This person was the Peak Master of Middle Peak, Yu Tsang, whom Yun Chujio met in the demonic beast forest. Peak Master Yu was stunned. He thought to himself, this Yun Chujio really dared to say it. She did not know what it meant to stop when things were good and to stop when things were good. She actually used a token to get 7 registration qualifications. She was really good at deceiving people. Peak Master Yu had the intention to tell the truth, but on one hand, she felt that Yun Chujio cared about her family and had good intentions. If she told the truth, they would be stripped of their test qualifications. On the other hand, if she told the truth, it was inevitable that she would be ridiculed by everyone. It seemed a little embarrassing. Thirdly, cough cough, that old fellow Sun Buzhong was quite fond of that black girl. This old fellow was currently in closed-door cultivation. If he were to come out and find out that I had revealed the truth, he would definitely explode. Peak Master Yu laughed dryly when he thought of this. There really is such a thing. When we first met Yun Chujio, that little girl, although she did not have any spiritual power, she was quick-witted and lively. Moreover, she had a tenacious character. Hence, she was moved by compassion and promised to give her 7 qualifications to register. Xiao Pancher from the West Peak frowned. He was the most principled and wanted to say a few words. However, when he thought of Bai Moyu and his sister, he could only swallow his words. He had clearly. If not for that disciple setting a precedent for the two of them, Yun Chujio would not have been able to rely on 1 registration token to obtain 7 registration qualifications. However, this Yun Chujio's personality carried a strong opportunism, and she was really unlikable. Thinking up to this point, Xiao Pancher said with a cold face, there are only 6 of them. I reckon that one of them has already been eliminated. They should have failed the first round of the test. Just as Xiao Pancher finished speaking, the black girl stretched her neck and shouted something at the bottom of the stone steps. Then, a youth holding a treasured sword climbed up with full vigilance. Everyone exclaimed, as expected. The black girl had indeed guessed Elder Chu's intention. She deliberately left a person behind to wait for them to be ready before letting the last person come up. If they guessed correctly, the last person should be Yun Chuzi, who had the highest spiritual power. This black girl is really smart. Elder Chu jumped his feet. Impossible. Impossible. She must have met a dead rat by chance. Everyone just smiled and ignored Elder Chu. They all turned their attention to the Clear Sky group. They didn't even pay attention to some of the stronger groups that they had previously thought highly of. After all, in this world, only a comeback was the most exciting. However, would the weakest Clear Sky group succeed in their comeback? Chapter 116. The Ironbone Bear continued to be crippled. Seeing that everyone was ignoring him, Elder Chu became even angrier. He raised his beard and shouted, HMPH. So what if I've guessed it? With just these 7 small dishes, they won't be able to pass this hurdle. Old Xiao, don't you think I'm right? Xiao Pancher frowned and nodded. That's right, not everything can be done by taking advantage of opportunities. The rest of the people did not argue with them, their gazes were firmly locked onto the shadow stone. Just as Yunchuzi leapt up, 3 iron bone bears suddenly appeared on the plains. Seeing Yunchujio and the others, they immediately waved their huge claws and pounced forward. Elder Qiyu said proudly, "Did you see that? 3 second-grade iron bone bears, even 7 4th-level spirit-enhanced cultivators would find it very difficult to deal with them, not to mention these 7 little vegetables. That black girl might directly faint from fright." Although Elder Chu said so, his small eyes were staring fixedly at the shadow stone. At the beginning, although the Clear Sky group had been prepared, they were still slightly flustered. Then, the black girl who was surrounded in the middle shouted something, and the 6 people on the periphery began to split up into 2 groups to deal with the 3 ironbone bears. Elder Chu curled his lips. They really overestimated themselves. They don't know if they have any brains. They actually let the strongest 2 deal with 1, and the other 4 must be smacked to death. Elder Chu's words came to an abrupt end because Yunchuzi and Yunchulu had killed the ironbone bear in a short while. Then, the 2 of them began to support the other 2 groups. Master Xianyuan and the other elders' expressions turned slightly stiff. Cough cough, this black lass was too despicable. She actually made them attack the ironbone bear's anus. However, this was also a method of surprise. The most vulnerable part of the ironbone bear's body was only its eyes. The ironbone bear probably did not expect that someone would attack them there. It was careless and actually succeeded in 1 strike. "Hey, look, what is the black girl doing?" An elder shouted in surprise. Everyone looked and saw Yunchujio squatting in front of the dead bear. She took out a small dagger from her satchel. As her body blocked everyone's line of sight, no one knew what she was doing. 15 minutes later, the other 2 ironbone bears were also killed by the Qinyun group. Yunchujio followed the same pattern and took out a small dagger to fiddle with it for a while. Humph. This is just a piece of cake. It won't be as simple as that later. Elder Chu said while cursing in his heart. This black girl is actually worse than me. The 3 corpses of the ironbone bears on the grass suddenly disappeared. Then, another 3 ironbone bears pounced on Yunchujio and the others while howling. The Qinyun team did the same thing. They still went against 1 ironbone bear in pairs. However, due to the decrease in stamina, it took much longer this time. When the first ironbone bear died, Yunchujio squatted in front of the bear to take a look. Then, she spread her short legs and ran far away. Ha ha ha. I told you that this black girl would be scared. Look, she must be so scared that she wants to run away alone. Elder Chu felt very proud that he had finally moved back to a city. Peak Master Yu frowned. This black girl had always cared about family. She shouldn't be so selfish, right? Master Xianyuan suddenly asked, Elder Chu, how do we pass this second round? Elder Chu raised his beard and said proudly, we have to fight for 10 rounds before we pass. Do you think that this group of small fries can survive 10 rounds? Even if they have some tricks, their stamina can't keep up. I reckon that if they can't survive the 4th round, they will be finished. Everyone couldn't help but nod their heads when they heard Elder Chu's words. Indeed, the strength of the Clear Sky group was still too weak. It would be very difficult for them to survive the 4th round. It seemed that a comeback wasn't an easy matter. The Clear Sky group could only stop at the 2nd round of the test. Chapter 117 Whack-Mole Stick. Just when everyone thought that the Qinyun group had lost all hope, they saw that the black girl stopped running and squatted in front of a bunch of wild flowers. She did not move for a long time and seemed to be in a daze. After a while, she ran to another group of wild flowers and continued to be in a daze. Everyone was puzzled. What was the black girl doing? Admiring the flowers? Wasn't this too much of a bad time? How big was her heart? The battle was raging over there. Where were you enjoying the flowers? The black girl shouted something at the 6 people over here. Then, these people acted like cats playing with mice. It seemed like they were using up the strength of the iron-bone bear, but more like they were stalling for time. Elder Chu curled his lips. Stupid. Don't tell me they think that they will pass this round of assessment when the time is up. They really look down on this elder's wisdom. Everyone felt that Elder Chu's words made sense. This time, the black girl had guessed wrongly. The black girl was still in a daze as she ran through the flowers. Then, she stood beside a bush of wild flowers, holding a small dagger, and shouted a few words at the 6 people. At this moment, the 2 iron-bone bears were almost befuddled by the teasing. 2 of them ran towards the direction of the black girl, while the remaining 4 people ran in pairs, intentionally leading the iron-bone bears to run towards the other 2 directions. Everyone in the meeting hall was a little confused. What was going on? What did the black girl want to do? Soon, the 4 people also stopped in their tracks. Then, the black girl shouted something, and the 4 people finally ended the lives of the 2 iron-bone bears. Elder Chu, what do you think this black girl is doing? One of the elders asked in puzzlement. Elder Chu did not know why, but he had an ominous premonition in his heart. He said perfunctorily, HMPH. She's just trying to be mysterious. Once they split up, she'll die even faster this time. Before Elder Chu finished speaking, everyone let out a wave of exclamations. Oh my God! This, how could this be? Ah, no wonder the black girl ran back and forth earlier. So there's a reason. This is really too unexpected. Interesting. Interesting. Heavens, it can be like this. The black girl is really too sneaky. Elder Chu, this round of the test was ruined by the black girl. Ha ha ha. Elder Chu focused his eyes and almost fainted from anger. The second round of the test that I had racked my brains for was actually played by the black girl. This is simply too embarrassing. I saw that the Clear Sky group was divided into 3 groups, each group guarding a bush of wild flowers. After the iron-bone bear's corpse disappeared, another iron-bone bear appeared from the bush of wild flowers. Before the iron-bone bear could react, the weapons of the Clear Sky group came slashing at it. One person specialized in piercing the eyes, while the other specialized in poking the anus. The pitiful iron-bone bear lost most of its life before it could react. In the time it took for half an incense stick to burn, it had already killed an iron-bone bear. After repeating this over and over again, it was likely that the technique had become more proficient and it did not even take half an incense stick's time. Impossible. Impossible. How did the black lass know that the iron-bone bear would appear from these 3 wild flowers? Elder Chu was so angry that he was hopping around. He felt that he had really lost a great deal of face this time. The members of the Clear Sky group were like whack-a-mole. Not to mention 10 rounds, even 20 rounds would not be a problem. It was really too easy, wasn't it? Everyone was also discussing animatedly. How did the black lass discover the location of the formation's eye? The wild flowers on the plains weren't just those few bushes. How did she find it all of a sudden? It's probably related to her previous actions. This old man is also very curious. I can only wait until the test is over to ask the black lass. Serene Peak Master saw that the Clear Sky group's performance wasn't bad and spoke with pride. Elder Chu felt that he had nowhere to put his old face. He said angrily, so what if they pass 2 rounds? There's still a 3rd round. They definitely won't pass the 3rd round. Chapter 118 Elder Chu, what's the content of the third round of the test? Everyone was very curious. The content of the entry test had always been kept strictly confidential. Even Master Shenyuan only knew some general information. Elder Chu raised his neck and said proudly, I've spent a lot of effort in the third round of the test. Not to mention those 7 small dishes, even the strongest groups would have to be skinned alive if they wanted to pass. The Qingyun team didn't know that they had become the focus of attention and were happily whack-mole. Yun Chulu, I didn't expect that this Tier 2 Iron Bone Bear would be so vulnerable. It was killed by us in just a few hits. Yun Chuba, that's right. It's even weaker than the Wind-Edge Rabbit. Yun Chuki, is the brain of the person who designed the second round of the test squeezed by a door? Why is the second round of the test easier than the first round? Yun Chu, Little Gio, is smart. Otherwise, we would have been tortured to death by these iron bone bears. Yun Chuzi, yes, Little Gio is indeed the biggest contributor. Chingisai, Little Gio, you are too smart to be human. Yun Chujio. After 10 rounds, the scene changed. Yun Chujio and the others found themselves standing on a high platform, and there was an endless abyss below. Little Gio, what will the content of this round be? It feels so terrifying. Yun Chuki looked down. The bottom was bottomless, and it was terrifying to look at. Yun Chujio looked at the platform. It was about 50 to 600 feet in diameter, and there was an abyss below. Could it be? Yun Chujio frowned. This platform should be a PK platform. Fuck. What does fuck mean? Everyone looked at Yun Chujio in confusion. Ah, it means a competition stage. It means a competition stage. Yun Chujio stuck out her tongue. Yun Chuba cried out in shock. Competition stage. Heavens, our group is the weakest. Any random group can crush us to death. Then, won't we not be able to pass this round of the test? The other few people were also filled with worry. Indeed, the strength of any group was far higher than that of the Qingyun group. It would be extremely difficult to pass this round of the test. Yun Chujio glared at them, difficult. Of course it's difficult. If it wasn't difficult, wouldn't everyone be able to enter the Linghua sect? You all must know that there are tigers on the mountain, yet you still choose to walk towards the tiger mountain. Don't you think that you'll be able to do yourself a favor if you don't risk your lives? All of you, beat them up with all your might. Do you hear me? Little Gio, what you said makes sense, but there's a huge difference in strength. Even if we go all out, we won't be able to beat them. Yun Chulu scratched his head. Listen to me, let's do it this way. Yun Chujio babbled on. The melon-eating elders in the meeting hall were all extremely curious. Sai, what's that black girl gesturing about? Elder Chu smiled smugly, gesturing is useless. They can't win this round by relying on their little tricks. I've arranged for 2 groups to fight in this round. Which group do you think will encounter this group of small fries and not be given points? Ha ha ha. Elder Chu, then which group will meet the Clear Sky group? Serene Peak Master frowned, the Clear Sky group was worried. Let me see, it should be this all-conquering group. Look, they are about to finish the second round of the test. Elder Chu pointed at an area on the shadow stone and said. Immediately, a disciple handed the information of the all-conquering group to Elder Chu. Elder Chu's mouth almost couldn't close when he saw it. This time, we can't go straight up to the Clear Sky group. This all-conquering group has 1 spirit-enhanced 6th level, 2 5th-level spirit-enhanced 5th level, and 4 4th-level spirit-enhanced 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 6th-level spirit-enhanced 6th-level spirit-enhanced 4th-level spirit-enhanced 4th-level spirit-enhanced 4th. Level Spirit Enhanced 4th 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 Level Spirit Enhanced 6th Level Spirit Enhanced 4th 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 Level Spirit Enhanced 6th Level Spirit Enhanced 4th 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 Level Spirit Enhanced 4th. Chapter 119 was truly a disgrace. When everyone heard Elder Chu's words, they felt that there was basically no suspense in this round of duels. The difference in strength was just too great. Even if the all-conquering group only sent out 3 people, they would still be able to completely defeat the Clear Sky group. Peak Master Yu sighed in his heart. The Clear Sky group was also quite unlucky. This all-conquering group's strength could be ranked in the top 10 of this test. They basically had no chance of winning. Look! What is that black girl holding in her hand? Everyone came back to their senses and took a look. Sure enough, the black girl took out a few paper bags from her satchel and gave them to 3 of them. Then, she began to talk and compare them. Could it be something like poison? An elder guessed. Poison pills are very expensive in the world. With their wealth, they simply can't afford it. If it's poison from the secular world, it basically won't pose a threat to the all-conquering group. Peak Master Yu shook his head. What could it be? This black girl is really unpredictable. Look, the 10th round of all-conquering is about to end. The melon-eating elders were all excited, their eyes fixed on Yun Chujio and the others. They more or less hoped that the Qin-Yun group could create a miracle. This boring cultivation career was rare and interesting. The group leader of the indestructible group was Lu Qinghua, who was at the 6th level of the Spirit Enhancement realm. He came from a medium cultivation clan. Due to his high talent and his superior family background, he was very conceited. The 6 people in the same group as him were also members of the Lu Shi clan. Their strength was not weak either, so they basically did not encounter any big trouble during the 2 rounds of the test. Soon, the 10th round of the Iron Bone Bear was eliminated. The 7 people were chatting and laughing. Team leader, this test of the Linghua faction isn't as difficult as the legends say. Lu Qinghua curled his lips. If you ask me, the Linghua faction is only a so-so. Even that bullshit, straight to the Azure Cloud group can obtain the qualification to take the test. It's really getting worse by the day. Team leader, that so-called Azure Cloud group will probably be eliminated in the first round. It's not worth mentioning at all. While the few of them were discussing, the scene in front of them changed. Before Lu Qinghua and the others could react, they felt something fluttering towards them. Achoo! Achoo! What the hell is that? It's choking me. Ah! My eyes, it's burning me to death. Just as Lu Qinghua and the others were wailing, a few swords and wind blades slashed towards them. When the melon-eating L. This is the all-conquering group being beaten like a local rat. All-conquering has now become a miserable group. It's just a little trick. Only those at the 4th level of the Spirit Enhancement realm can fall for it. Those high-level ones can handle it. Although Elder Chu said so, he had to admit that this black girl was even more wicked than him. As Elder Chu expected, the 4 people at the 4th level of the Spirit Enhancement realm were caught unprepared. After they were injured by Yun Chu and the others, they were kicked off the platform by Yun Chuzhou. Lu Qinghua and the other three at the higher levels jumped to the side in a sorry state and looked at Yun Chuzhou and the others with tears in their eyes. Achoo! Achoo! You guys are too despicable. You actually hurt people secretly. And you even used pepper powder and pepper flour. Lu Qinghua said fiercely with tears in his eyes. Didn't we see that you guys had gone through so much during the test and wanted to give you some supplements? You guys really don't know how to appreciate the kindness of others. Yun Chuzhou hugged her small shoulders and her small feet trembled. No matter how she looked at it, she deserved a beating. Chapter 120 came up with another strange move, stupid girl. Don't be so pleased with yourself. We didn't have a stable footing just now and were ambushed by you. Otherwise, your little tricks won't be able to do anything to us. Humph. Even if there are only the three of us left, it would still be as easy as flipping over our hands to deal with you. Lu Qinghua said through gritted teeth. Yun Chuzhou curled her lips. Stop bragging. Isn't the Ironbone Bear stronger than you guys? The two of us dealt with one, but didn't we still kill dozens of them? Moreover, I didn't even need to make a move. Hearing Yun Chuzhou's words, Yun Chuzhou and the others couldn't help but feel a little guilty. Little Joe, the Ironbone Bear didn't know how to protect its anus. These people all knew that. Moreover, they couldn't beat the gophers now. They really couldn't beat them. Lu Qinghua and the other two were stunned at first, and then they laughed out loud. You're really not afraid of bragging. Go. Fourth brother, fifth sister, you guys deal with that fatty. Sixth brother, eighth brother, you guys deal with that skinny guy. Seventh sister, Qing Si, you two deal with this San Jiaoyan. Yun Chuzhou waved her small claws and gave the order instantly. When Yun Chuzi and the others saw Yun Chuzhou leave the most powerful Lu Qinghua to Yun Chuki and Qing Si, they couldn't help but be stunned. Wasn't she asking for a beating? What are you waiting for? This is Tianjis horse race. Go. Yun Chuzhou said fiercely. Tianjis horse race. Yun Chuzi and the others didn't know what Yun Chuzhou meant, but they were used to listening to Yun Chuji's command, so they picked up their weapons and went straight to their respective opponents. Seventh sister, Qing Si, try to stall this triangle-eyed man. When the other side is finished, we will gang up on him. Yun Chuzhou whispered to Yun Chuki and Qing Si. In the meeting hall, the melon-eating elders were stretching their necks and staring at each other in confusion. Has the black girl gone mad? Is she going to commit suicide? Is it because she thinks that the situation is over and is trying to resist? TSK, although the Qingyun group is not very strong, these people look pretty good, especially that black girl. Although she doesn't have any spiritual power, she is really smart. I saw that her kicks just now were perfect in both strength and angle. I also noticed it. Look at her black and skinny figure. She can actually send a person flying more than 100 feet with one kick. She's borrowing Qiao Jin. This little girl is really smart. Elder Chu saw that these people went astray as they chatted. His face stiffened. It doesn't matter if she's smart or not. In any case, she won't be able to pass this round of the test. Everyone sighed. Not bad. Although there were only 3 people left in the all-conquering group, their strength was still higher than the Clear Sky group. The Clear Sky group basically had no chance of winning. Not necessarily. This lord thinks highly of the Clear Sky group. Master Xianyuan said with a faint smile. Everyone was puzzled, and Elder Chu curled his lips. Sect Master, are you sure you didn't say the opposite? Master Xianyuan laughed out loud. Elder Chu, of course I didn't say the opposite. The little girl's action seemed like a moth to the flame, but in reality, there was a profound meaning behind it. As long as the two weaker ones could really hold on until the other two groups won, then there would only be one person left in the all-conquering group. They definitely wouldn't be able to defeat the Clear Sky group. Only then did everyone come to a realization. The sect master was indeed the sect master. He was more insightful than them. Not bad. If that was the case, then the Clear Sky group's chances of winning would greatly increase. Elder Chu was stunned. He had to admit that black girl was really crafty. However, he said, this is just a hypothesis. What if those 4 people can't beat the other 2? What if those 2 little girls can't hold on until rescue? Then the 7 little vegetables will be completely useless. Everyone felt that what Elder Chu said made sense. In the end, could the Qingyun group defeat the strong with the weak? Chapter 121, We Won. Everyone stared at the shadow stone, only to see that both sides had already engaged in a chaotic battle. Only that little black girl stood by the side and did not stop for a single moment, babbling and babbling. No one knew what she was saying. Yun Chuzhou had already calculated in her heart. Although she could release her spirit energy, the gigolo had said that she could release her spirit energy before she reached the 4th level of spirit enhancement, so she could not reveal it as a last resort. If she really could not do it, she would strike them again. No matter what, she had to enter the Spirit Flower sect. Hey, Triangle Eyes, our group is called Sanjiaoyan. What's the name of your group? Since she couldn't use her spiritual power, then she would use a little trick. Lu Qinhua was so angry that he gnashed his teeth. My name is Lu Qinhua, not Sanjiaoyan. Our group is called Invincible. I didn't ask what your name is. Why are you so busy reporting your name? You are so shameless. All-conquering. I think you are the pathetic group. Yun Chuzhou put her hands on her waist and jumped around to scold him. Lu Qinhua was so angry that his face turned green. Stupid girl, don't be so proud. After I take care of these 2, I will teach you a lesson. Yun Chuzhou bared her little white teeth at him. La la la, bite me if you have the ability. Sanjiaoyan. Pathetic group. You are dead. Lu Qinhua was so angry that he actually jumped to the side. He got rid of Yun Chuki and Qin Si and went straight to Yun Chuzhou. Stupid girl, I told you to spout nonsense. I'll kill you first. I'm so scared. Don't kill me. Yun Chuzhou screamed and ran away. Lu Qinhua was so angry that he was dizzy. He didn't care about Yun Chuki and Qin Si who were chasing him with swords. He just threw a few wind blades at Yun Chuzhou. Oh my god, you scared me to death. Are you going to pierce my heart with thousands of arrows? You triangle-eyed man, you are too vicious. Yun Chuzhou dodged left and right. It seemed like a close call, but none of the wind blades touched Yun Chuzhou. Lu Qinhua was about to throw another wind blade at Yun Chuzhou when Yun Chuki's sword came at him. He had to deal with Yun Chuki and Qin Si who were chasing after him. When Yun Chuki and Qin Si were about to give up, Yun Chuzhou would jump over and provoke them with her words. However, the arrogant Lu Qinhua could not take it and would definitely go after Yun Chuzhou again. Therefore, even though Lu Qinhua was much stronger than Yun Chuki, an hour had passed and he still could not get Yun Chuki, Qin Si, and Yun Chuzhou off the stage. Yun Chuzhou shouted at Yun Chuzi and the others, "Hey, 4th brother, you guys have to work harder. The secret medicine that you guys took before S. Do you guys feel like your bodies are filled with power? Their miserable group is about to be finished. Kill them, and we can enter the Linghua sect. Think about our clansmen, they're all waiting for our good news. Yun Chuzi and Yun Chu combined were already slightly stronger than the fatty. Now that Yun Chuzhou shouted, she suddenly felt her spirit shake, as if her entire body was filled with strength. The two of them attacked consecutively. The fatty was flustered for a moment and actually lost his footing and fell off the stage. Yun Chuzi and Yun Chu wanted to come over and help, but Yun Chuzhou quickly shouted, "Don't worry about us first. Finish off that thin man first, then we'll gang up on this Sanjiaoyan." When that skinny guy saw that fatty had fallen, he immediately became a little timid. In addition, the Qingyun team members became more and more courageous as they fought. It was as if they were on steroids, and soon, they were also kicked under the stage. When Lu Qinghua saw that fatty and skinny guy lost one after another, he immediately panicked. It was true that he was at level 6 of the spirit enhancement, but a good tiger could not withstand a pack of wolves. It was over. The situation was over. Lu Qinghua held on for a short while and jumped off the high platform. He would definitely lose anyway, so it was better to suffer less. "Little Jiu, we won. Little Jiu, we can really enter the Linghua faction. Little Jiu, we didn't embarrass the Yun family." The members of the Qingyun group were so excited that tears streamed down their faces. Yes, from the beginning when they did not have any hope, all the way until now, although they were the weakest and no one thought highly of them, they had won. They had relied on perseverance and hard work, and they had won. Chapter 122 had a sudden change. The meeting room was also filled with cheers. Ha! The Clear Sky Group won. This battle is too exciting. It's really a good example of the weak defeating the strong. Yeah. I didn't expect it. I didn't expect it. A 4th level spirit enhancement, 2 3rd level spirit enhancement, 3 2nd level spirit enhancement, and a group without spirit energy actually passed 3 rounds of tests. Yeah, the one who contributed the most was that black girl. Smart, she's really too smart. That's right. It's a pity that this black girl doesn't have spirit energy. Otherwise, her future would definitely be boundless. That's right, Peak Master Yu, why doesn't this little girl have spirit energy? It said that she couldn't absorb spirit energy since she was young. It's indeed a pity. Although Yu Feng said so, he was very happy in his heart. No matter what, even if the Clear Sky Group couldn't enter the outer sect, they could at least become odd jobs. Everyone was chatting and laughing. Only Elder Chu and Elder Xiao remained silent. Elder Chu's face was a little embarrassed. He had already said so much, but he didn't expect that the 7 noobs would actually pass 3 rounds of the test. On the other hand, Elder Xiao didn't like Yun Chujia's style of doing things. He thought that this person was too opportunistic and not practical enough. However, the two of them had very high statuses, so they didn't really go to the extent of making things difficult for a few juniors. I'm looking forward to the next individual test. I wonder if these 7 people will be able to enter the outer sect. An elder said excitedly. Only the 300 people with the best results in the individual test will be able to enter the outer sect. It's basically impossible for the 7 of them to enter. Oh right, Elder Chu, what's the content of the individual test? Elder Chu was in a bad mood and said in a muffled voice, "First, we have to climb the 10,000 stone steps at the back of the mountain. Then, we have to take the mental illusion test." Everyone could not help but grin. This old man Chu was really ruthless. These people who participated in the test had just entered the 3rd round of the test and were already exhausted. Even if they could climb the 10,000 stone steps and enter the illusion test, their minds would definitely be relaxed and it would be very difficult to pass. Everyone's gaze once again focused on the shadow stone. Most of them were still paying attention to the 7 members of the Qingyun group. The scene in front of Yun Chujio and the others had already changed from the high platform to the foot of a mountain. The voice of the test disciple came from the test board. Congratulations to the Clear Sky group for passing 3 rounds of the group test. For the 4th round of the individual test, the first 300 people to climb up the steps to the top of the mountain will enter the outer sect. Yun Chulu and the others looked at the endless stone steps and wailed, "Oh my god, this looks like there are even more stone steps than the first round of the test. I can't even lift my legs." Yun Chujio glared at them. "There's no such thing as impossible, only not working hard. If you can't catch up to me, you can call me Big Sister from now on." After saying that, Yun Chujio opened her legs and ran up the stone steps. Yun Chulu and the others looked at each other. Little Jio was the youngest, and she didn't have any spiritual power. Could it be that they didn't have little Jio's perseverance? Chase. Yun Chujio deliberately slowed down, so that Yun Chulu and the others couldn't catch up, but she also didn't leave too far behind. In the meeting hall, everyone was discussing again. I didn't expect that black girl's stamina to be so good. I think she's very relaxed. It doesn't make sense. How can a little girl without spiritual power have such good stamina? It's really strange. The other 6 people are also commendable for their perseverance. They are completely relying on their mental fortitude to hold on. And, they are indeed not bad. They have already climbed more than half of the way up. If they hold on a little longer, they might very well make it into the top 100. This is really unbelievable. Just when everyone was full of confidence in the Qingyun group, a sudden change occurred. The skies suddenly darkened, and a large patch of thick and heavy Wuyun quickly gathered in the sky. Chapter 123 was a big deal. Yun Chujio had a bad premonition the moment Wuyun gathered. Oh my god, could it be that lightning was going to strike her? Normally, she would be very happy and would be eager to be struck by lightning. But now was not the time. Damn lightning, if you didn't come early or late, why did you come to join in the fun? If it was an ordinary silver lightning, it would be better. But if it was a purple lightning tribulation, it would definitely implicate the people around them. What should they do? Yun Chujio weighed the pros and cons and said to Yun Chuzi and the others, "You guys climb for a while first. I'll rest for a while." Yun Chulu said with a cheeky smile, "Little Jio, we don't have any strength left. Can we rest for a while too?" Yun Chujia's small face stiffened. "No, I can still run now. Can you guys do it? Hurry up and climb." Yun Chulu laughed dryly and scratched his head. He could only reluctantly follow Yun Chuzi and the others to climb up. Just as Yun Chulu and the others climbed more than 1,000 feet away, a few silver lightning bolts struck down from the sky. Yun Chujio let out a long breath. Fortunately, it was silver and not purple. At this moment, the meeting hall was filled with exclamations. The image on the shadow stone began to blur and eventually turned into ripples. Oh no! The heavenly lightning must have destroyed the formation's eye. This old man will go and check it out. Elder Chu frowned and quickly left to check. Yun Chujio had just let out a sigh of relief. Just as she was about to chase after Yun Chuzi and the others, a purple lightning struck down towards Yun Chujio. Damn it, she knew it wouldn't be that simple. Yun Chujio was afraid of attracting the attention of others and also afraid of implicating others, so she hurriedly left the stone steps and went into the forest next to her. The purple lightning bolt also followed her into the forest in a crooked manner. It seemed like it wouldn't stop until it struck Yun Chujio. Finally, Yun Chujio found a small empty space. With her hands on her waist, she pointed at the little lightning bolt that was chasing after her and jumped around while cursing, "Fuck. You little purple loach, you didn't come early or late. You actually came to strike me at this time. I'll give you 10,000 bad reviews. You damn little loach. Come on. Strike me. I can't wait for it. The little purple lightning paused for a moment, as if it was in a difficult position. Then, it aimed at Yunchujio. Well, to be precise, it was aimed at Yunchujio's small satchel. What? Yunchujio was dumbfounded. So it wasn't aimed at her. It was aimed at Xiao Hanyo. Before Yunchujio could react, several more purple lightning bolts came down from the sky. They were exactly the same as the previous. They paused for a moment, then some went to Yunchujio, and some went to the satchel. These finger-sized lightning bolts were like tickles to Yunchujio now. They were not satisfying at all. As Yunchujio was disturbed by the test, she was extremely angry. She pointed at Wu Yun in the sky and cursed, "Too weak. Too weak. Have you not eaten? If you have the ability, hit me harder. Don't make me look down on you." The purple lightning bolts in Wu Yun were instantly enraged. Too much. Too much. Too much. If they didn't chop this black girl to death, they wouldn't be able to survive in the lightning world. Thus, the purple lightning bolts gathered together and a lightning bolt as thick as an adult's arm struck fiercely at Yunchujio. Yunchujio looked at the huge lightning bolt coming at her and 3 words flashed across her mind: "I've played too big." Wu Yun in the sky saw the deep pit that was emitting black smoke on the ground and floated away in satisfaction. Done. The 2 scourges were finally eliminated. Chapter 120. For the miserable Yun Chujio, the other 6 members of the Qingyun team climbed for a while. When they saw that Yun Chujio did not follow them and heard the deafening thunder, they immediately panicked and rushed back to look for Yun Chujio. Coincidentally, they met Bai Moyu and the others who were climbing up. Yun Chuzi and the others were very surprised to see Yun Chushan and the others. She did not expect them to pass 3 rounds of the test. She pretended to be pleasantly surprised. "Chuzi, that's great. You guys passed the first 3 rounds of the test too. Why didn't you climb up but went down instead? Third sister, did you see little Jio on the way here?" Yun Chuzi quickly asked Yun Chushan. "No. Why? Did little Jio disappear?" Yun Chushan showed a worried expression, but she was actually very happy in her heart. She deserved it. It would be better if Yun Chujio was dead. Yun Chuzi had no time to care about Yun Chusi's question. He acknowledged and brought Yun Chu and the others down the mountain. Yun Chushan shouted from behind, "Hey! If you go down, there's a high possibility that you won't be able to enter the outer sect. Why don't you go look for little Jio after you complete the test? The treatment in the outer sect is 100 times better than that of a handyman." Yun Chuzi and the others stopped in their tracks. Yun Chuzi turned around and gave Yun Chushan a deep look. "In our opinion, little Jio's safety is more important than anything else." Yun Chusi's face stiffened and said embarrassedly, "If you don't know how to appreciate a good person's kindness, then do as you please." Yun Chuzi took a few steps forward and said to Qing Si, "Let's go look for little Jio. You continue to climb up." Qing Si was stunned. Qing Si, am not the kind of person who doesn't have a sense of loyalty. At worst, he'll just become a servant. Fourth brother, stop wasting time. It's more important to look for little Jio. Seeing Qing Si's resolute attitude, Yun Chuzi did not say anything more. In his heart, he had a trace of approval for this little sister who came later. Yun Chuzi and the others arrived at the place where Yun Chujio was resting and found Yun Chujio's footprints. They searched along the footprints and finally found the deep pit that was still emitting billowing black smoke. Little Jio's footprints disappeared when they came here. Could it be, could it be? Yun Chuzi couldn't continue. He didn't dare to say or think about the tragedy that might happen. Little Jill. Little Jill. Where are you? Yun Chu cried out loudly with her crying voice. Yun Chuki and the others also shouted at the top of their lungs. They really didn't want to believe the fact that little Jill had been struck by lightning. They could only shout with a glimmer of hope. Cough. 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 Yun Chuji's weak voice came from the pit. Everyone quickly gathered around the pit. Little Jill, are you okay? Cough. 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 I'm fine, it's just that the smoke is too strong, and I've changed into a shiny new hairstyle. Hurry up and get a rope to hang down and pull me up. Rope? Yun Chu and the others looked at each other. There was no rope on them either. Fortunately, Qing Si was quick-witted. She saw that there were vines next to her, so she cut a few vines and tied them together, hanging down the deep pit. Everyone exerted their strength together, and without much effort, they pulled a black thing up. At this moment, Yun Chujio was in a terrible state. Her body was covered in scorched earth. Other than a pair of eyes that were as red as a rabbit's, no one could see her facial features. By the way, the most shiny thing was the shiny bald head. There was a drooping black crow on the bald head. Its green bean-like eyes were also filled with tears from the smoke. When everyone saw Yun Chuji's miserable state, they felt like laughing out loud. Yun Chulu could not help but laugh out loud. Yun Chujio glared at him. Sixth brother, take off your coat and give it to me. Chapter 125 was scamming you. Yun Chulu laughed as he took off his coat. Yun Chujio put it on randomly. This guy was very smart. His coat had already turned into ashes. Fortunately, he was wearing the clothes that he had taken from the gigolo. It was obvious that this coat was a treasure. He was fine even after being hacked a few times. He didn't want to be remembered by others. Yun Chujio had just put on her outer clothes when she heard someone shout, "Hey, why did you 7 little vegetables come here instead of taking the test?" Everyone turned around and saw an old man wearing the Linghua sect's uniform walk in. The old man was Elder Chu. After he repaired the array core, he rushed over when he saw black smoke rising from here. "Hey, black girl, what happened to you? Did you get struck by lightning? Ha ha ha, did you get your retribution?" Elder Chu looked at the dark Yun Chujio and couldn't even straighten his back from laughing. Cough. Cough. How should I address this elder? Yun Chujio wished she could kick this old thing a few times. However, she glanced at Elder Chu's clothes and suppressed the primal energy in her body. This old man wore the same clothes as Elder Sun and the others. It seemed that he was also an elder, so it was better not to offend him. Im Chu Bewley, black girl. You haven't answered my question yet. Why are you here? And what's with your appearance? Elder Chu also felt that he had lost his composure, so he held back his laughter and said. So you're Elder Chu? I've always heard that Elder Chu of the Linghua sect has superb spiritual power and is wise and open-minded. Seeing you today, it's as I expected. Yun Chuji's red eyes burst out with strong admiration. Elder Chu had never thought that the words coming out of this black girl's mouth would be so pleasant to hear and so beneficial. He immediately straightened his back and said, "Don't spout nonsense. It's all thanks to everyone. You can't count it." Yun Chujio was an ancestor who could read people's words and expressions. Seeing Elder Chu's physical behavior, she knew that this old thing was pretentious and liked to listen to flattery the most. She immediately felt confident. Elder Chu, how can you say that? Who doesn't know that Elder Chu Buli of the Linghua sect is resourceful and has both wisdom and courage? He is a well-known figure in the Qin Xian continent. When I was in Yi City, I admired you very much. I didn't expect to finally meet you today. Please give me an autograph. In the future, I will use this autograph of yours as my motto. Yun Chujio said as she tore a corner of her robe and raised her hands above her head respectfully. The other members of the Qingyun team were simply stunned. Oh my God! Little Jiu, you're too good at making things up. When have you ever heard of a song that never leaves a sigh? And you even used your signature as your motto? Can you be any more shameless? Elder Chu, on the other hand, fell for this trick. The little grudge he had against Yun Chujio from before instantly vanished into thin air. This black girl, good. Very good. Very good. The Linghua sect lacked such a good disciple who dared to speak the truth and make progress. Elder Chu immediately took out a brush and ink from his storage ring and signed his name on the cloth. Black girl, good, you're very good. Even though you won't be able to enter the outer sect, you can still make a name for yourself as a handyman. Work hard. I have high hopes for you. Elder Chu, don't worry, I'll definitely do my job well. I'll be conscientious, hardworking, and diligent. I won't let you lose face. Yun Chujio straightened her small body, and her attitude was as upright as possible. Good. 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 Oh right, how did you come here? What's with this pit? Elder Chu, who was in a daze from being tricked, finally remembered the important matter. Chapter 126 must be a coincidence. Yun Chujio blinked her eyes, with an innocent look on her face. She said, Elder Chu, I was resting on the steps when I saw several bolts of lightning striking downwards. I ran into the forest in fear, but I didn't expect to be struck by a bolt of lightning. After that, I didn't know anything. Yun Chuzi and the others also proved, that's right, Elder Chu. We found that Xiao Hanio was missing, so we quickly came to find her and pulled her out of the pit. Elder Chu looked at the vine still hanging at the entrance of the deep pit, then looked at Yun Chujia's bald head, and then fixed his gaze on the little black bird on the top of Yun Chujia's head, which was drooping. Fire-spitting crow. Black girl, is this fire-spitting crow your spiritual pet? Yun Chujio held the short wings of the fire-spitting crow in disgust. Yes, I found it in the demon beast forest. Elder Sun said that the fire-spitting crow had a gentle temperament, so he let me keep it. Wah, wah, wah. Xiao Hanio cooperatively called out a few times. Elder Chu nodded. And, this bird is quite compatible with you. They're both small fries. Xiao Hanio's eyes widened. Fuck, you're the small fry. You'll fall to your death. Pa Ji, Elder Chu's left foot tripped over his right foot, and he fell like a dog gnawing on mud. Elder Chu was stunned from the fall. As a dignified elder of the Linghua sect, he actually tripped himself. If this were to be known, it would be a laughing death. His old face flushed red, and before Yun Chujio and the others could react, he hurriedly jumped up and disappeared with a whoosh. Xiao Hanio saw that Elder Chu had disappeared, and only then did he land on the ground, rolling on the ground with laughter. Ha ha ha. Damn it. You stinky old man, you actually called me a noob. You're even noob. Why didn't you fall to your death? Ha ha ha. I didn't think that I would casually say something and he would fall. This mouth of mine is simply. Xiao Hanio thought of something and quickly used its short wings to cover its mouth. Oh God, could it be that I really jinxed it? Impossible. I have nothing to do with that unlucky low-level bird. It must be a coincidence. Yes, this was completely a coincidence. Yun Chujio couldn't be bothered with it. The test wasn't over yet. Although she couldn't enter the outer sect, it was still pretty good to be able to enter the Spirit Flower sect and become a handyman. It was better to go and see what arrangements were made first. Fifth sister, seventh sister, give me your handkerchief. I'll wrap my head. Yun Chujio took the handkerchief and rubbed the charcoal ash on her face first. Then, she wrapped the handkerchief around her head. She even purposely left 2 small tails behind. Ah, little Jio, you seem to be WH. Little Jio, this is a blessing in disguise. You are really whiter than before. Also, the handkerchief you made on your head is quite unique. Yun Chujio raised her neck proudly and put her hands behind her back. Of course. I, Yun Chujio, will definitely be a great beauty in the future. In the past, I just hid my strength and bided my time. Everyone's faces froze. This guy really couldn't help but praise him. Just a little sunshine would make him shine. Brothers, sisters, I'm sorry. If it weren't for me, you would have been able to enter the outer gate. Yun Chujio felt warm in her heart when she saw that everyone had given up on the test to find her. Little Jio, what nonsense are you talking about? Don't say that we relied on you to pass the previous test. Just because you are our sister, we can't ignore you. Don't say such things in the future. Yun Chuzi said with a straight face. Yun Chujio nodded, but her nose was a little sour. Was this family love? There were no conditions. Just because we were family, we could protect each other, be warm to each other, and never abandon each other in life and death. Chapter 127 Don't believe in evil. Yun Chujio and the others left the forest. As they stood on the stone steps and looked around blankly, a white light flashed in front of their eyes. They had already been transported to a square. The ground of the square was paved with large pieces of bluestone slabs. There were some inconspicuous patterns on them, making them look extremely ancient and solemn. There were already many people gathered in the square. Coincidentally, Bai Moyu and the others were standing next to Yun Chujio and the others. Yun Chushan saw that Yun Chujio was still alive and was very disappointed. However, when she thought about how she would be an outer sect disciple in the future while Yun Chujio and the others could only be low-level laborers, her heart immediately felt at ease. Bai Moru were naturally very happy. Yun Chujio and the others were only laborers and their treatment in the future was far worse than theirs. They might even be able to enter the inner sect after the trial in a year's time. As for them, just be servants for the rest of their lives. No matter how much that elder son liked Yun Chujio, it was useless for Yun Chujio to not be able to cultivate. Sooner or later, elder son would give up on her. Moreover, this was still not the disciple recruitment ceremony, so there was no guarantee of what would happen. The disciple in charge of the entrance test said a few words of courtesy, and then sent people to bring the outer sect disciples and servants to the corresponding areas to be settled. The Linghua sect was situated on Mount Linghua, and the higher one went, the denser the spiritual energy became. Mount Linghua had 6 peaks, and they were respectively the East Peak, West Peak, South Peak, North Peak, Middle Peak, and Main Peak. The odd job areas on each peak were all below the mountainside, and the spiritual energy was the thinnest. The disciple leading the team randomly assigned these new odd job workers to their respective regions. Even though it was random, there was a reason for it. Some odd job workers with acquaintances or backgrounds were assigned to lighter positions, such as the alchemy division. Being an alchemist's attendant was not only easy, but one could also learn some alchemy knowledge. The herb planting department was also not bad. As long as the task was completed by the day, it would be fine. Usually, there was no one supervising it, so one could have a lot of time to go to the outer sect's cultivation hall to attend classes. The servants in the miscellaneous department were also not bad. They were all running errands and temporary workers. They could both slack off and get to know some useful people. Although the spirit beast department was a little dirty, those who had spirit beasts were mostly inner sect disc. This was a good opportunity to reach the sky in one step, so it was also a place to fight over. The most unpopular place, and also the place that everyone didn't want to go, was the big kitchen. Not only was the big kitchen greasy, but it was also the most tiring. There was no time to cultivate at all. Moreover, in order to prevent the pollution of the spiritual energy, the big kitchen on every mountain peak was built under the ground. It was also the place where the spiritual energy was the thinnest. Because the people in the big kitchen were basically rookies with no background, among the few departments of the handyman's office, the big kitchen was the most unpopular and the department that was always bullied. The disciple in charge of the distribution department was called Qi Sheng. He glanced at Yun Chujio and the others with his eyes and curled his lips. The few of you, go to the big kitchen in the middle peak. Yun Chujio did not know the twists and turns inside. As soon as she heard that they were going to the big kitchen, her heart immediately bloomed with joy. The big kitchen was great. At the very least, she would not have to worry about the delicious food in the future. Ha ha ha. Yun Chuzi and the others were also very happy. As long as they entered the Linghua sect, it would be fine. Which department was different? Some servants who knew the inside story cast pitying gazes at Yun Chujio and the others. These 7 people could be considered useless. Yun Chujio was very shrewd. When she saw their gazes, her heart moved slightly. Could it be that the big kitchen was not a good place to go? Humph. I, Yun Chujio, will not believe it. Even if it is a bad place, once I, Yun Chujio, go, it will be a top-notch good place to go. What's more, it's in the middle peak. It's simply too good. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.